All right. I believe we are live. What is going on, everybody? This is Rand Al Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another Xbox 2 podcast, but on a special day. But before we get into everything, got to introduce my co-host, who is now broadcasting live from Germany, my buddy, Jez Corden of Windows Central. What's going on, man?
Hey pal. Sorry to everyone for the inconvenience of, usually we podcast on Friday, and then usually if that doesn't happen, we podcast on Saturday. But this weekend, I was really busy because I was moving country again. So now I'm all over here, moved and settled in Germany finally, after 12 hours of delayed flights, and all set up. Got my studio, my microphone, everything set up. Hopefully the audio levels are good. And getting festive, getting ready for some Christmas gaming and general relaxation, because now I've got a couple of weeks off work and I'm just planning to just have a real lovely break and then kick off January with a bang.
So, are you working at all of this week? I mean, outside of like doing the podcast, which we don't really consider work. It's fun. It's a hobby we do. Are you doing anything with Windows Central? Like, how does that work out?
I'm doing no work this week, although you will see some of my articles go out this week.
Ooh,
but I like
what you write. Can you give us a hint? Any leaks incoming? Christmas leaks?
No leaks. I don't think. But I've written an article that's sort of like looking ahead to 2022, some predictions for next year, that kind of thing. That should go out around Christmas. So, like, if you get 5 minutes and you want to read something, there'll be stuff going up on Windows Central. A lot of guides to help people with new Xboxes that they've gotten for Christmas and stuff like that. But yeah, I do have a predictions piece coming about next year, 2022, what we expect to see from Xbox, and I thought that'd probably be a podcast topic for us next week. Because we're gonna do something a little bit special next week, aren't we, Rand? Maybe.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's also a topic for this week because I wanted to get mine and your thoughts about it. But yeah, next week we were thinking about maybe doing like a community special where we get a bunch of other people on the show to talk about Xbox this year, what they're looking forward to next year, and just kind of have a good time. And maybe do that on Thursday, the day before New Year's, because you're going to be with family all this weekend. So there'll be no podcast this Friday or Saturday. And we didn't podcast because you were also going from UK to Germany. So we couldn't do it this weekend. So we had to do it. We had to do it sometime. So Monday was the perfect time. So this will be the podcast for the week. And then next week, I'll ask some people and we'll see. We can have like a community special sort of thing on Thursday. To kind of like, recap what went on and how people are feeling and, what we're looking forward to moving forward and stuff. So be on the lookout for that. But, yeah, you know what? I gotta say, Jez, I haven't really been feeling that good.
You've been sick, right?
Someone says I'm muted, but I don't think I'm muted. In fact, let me just... I'm not muted, so... Someone just kind of tripped me up there. I'm looking at the chat, and someone said I'm muted. The finest. What's going on, man? He says I'm muted, but I'm pretty sure I'm not, so...
I'm not. Otherwise, people have just been listening to silence for the last several minutes.
Yeah, no, I always make sure when I start it that I can hear my horrible voice. And I sit there and I think to myself, man, I can't believe people actually listen to us. Because,
what are you talking about? Lovely Chicago, Illinois accent.
Right, yeah. But before we get into everything, we also got to mention that, once again, the Xbox 2 podcast is powered by what, Jez?
Manscaped, baby.
Yeah, Manscaped. And Jez wrote me something that I'm gonna read it here because Jez is a writer. He's a professional writer. I do all my stuff off the top of my head. Like I don't write anything out. Like I might have like little for the podcast here. I have like little things, like little just like one word things to kind of
Jog the memory.
Jog the memory, but I don't really like write stuff out, but Jez did. So here's what Jez had to say. Jingle bells. It'll be jingle balls this holiday season, thanks to Manscaped. Give the gift of Manscaped this holiday season with a massive 20% off with our promo code XB2. Whether you're hunting for a last-minute stocking filler or simply want to treat your own self, the USB chargeable lawnmower 4.0 helps you tame that festive fluff. Festive fluff, really, Jez? Is that what you wrote? Festive fluff. Does your girlfriend think it's festive fluff?
She will do.
Okay. To ensure you hit peak performance, drop our promo code XB2, which is XB and the number 2, in the checkout to grab 20% off and free worldwide shipping for any product on manscaped.com. Thanks once again to Manscaped for powering the Xbox 2 podcast. So now that you're back in Germany, Jez, has your girlfriend like what Manscaped has done to you? What's the verdict here?
I know there's still time to introduce the variety of Manscaped products. We got the lawnmower 4.0, very, very close, very smooth shave there. Lots of other fragrant products as well. They also do cologne now, Manscaped cologne, which is very good. And Manscaped boxes, which are incredibly comfortable. So that's the Manscaped promo. Promo code XB2 in checkout. And thanks again to Manscaped for sponsoring the show. But that's enough. That's enough shilling of testicle products for the moment, friend. Let's talk video games.
Yeah,
'cause that's what we're all here for, right?
Well, we got a super chat from Jacqueline. Thank you for the support. We appreciate anybody who spends their hard-earned money supporting the channel, the podcast, and everything. Channel members, we appreciate everyone. He goes, "Happy holiday, gents. I've been addicted to Halo when it hit me. If Xbox bought WB Games, can you imagine the Nemesis system in the next campaign? Seems perfect. Thanks for all you guys do." The Nemesis system in Halo. It kind of already has that when they introduce the bosses. You kind of get that lingering cutscene where the boss kind of taunts you a little bit. But yeah, I could get what you're saying. The Nemesis system in Lord of the Rings, Shadow of Mordor, where you would kill an enemy, but he would come back. That'd be pretty interesting.
Dude, I literally thought that while I was playing it, And I was playing Halo Infinite, and I was doing like what do they call them in game? High value targets, the HVTs, or is that a different game I'm getting it mixed up with? But the sort of side mini bosses, you can fight in the open world. I was literally sitting there thinking the Nemesis system would work well here because like the brutes are like a clan based system. Maybe they fight each other for power, and you kill one brute, and it levels up another brute. I think that'd be really cool. But do they own some kind of patent on that system? Because it feels like almost no other games do it.
Like, no, they do. They do own the Nemesis system. Yes, that's why no other games do it. They own the patent on it.
That's weird because Star Renegades, which is an indie game, pretty much has that system as well. Did they pay for the patent?
I mean, I don't know. I think I even read an article recently where Death Stranding or Sony had patented some of Death Stranding's mechanics.
Oh, the bridge building mechanics.
Yeah. They did some of that stuff. Like, the video game patent stuff is kind of weird, but yeah. We got Space Dovakin, who's been a member for 10 months, says, "Oh yeah, Xbox 2 on Monday. Love you guys, and we love you as well." Flame,
Xbox Monday,
who's been a member for 7 months, says, "Happy holidays, gents. I asked Santa for world peace, but instead we got an Xbox 2 with the fresh new Manscaped ad just in time for the holidays." Indeed.
Well, consolation prize, I guess.
Yeah. And V Simcoe says, "Happy holidays." So yes, happy holidays, everybody in chat. Hope you had a great weekend. And I guess let us know what your plans for the holidays are. Like, I know a lot of people, they'll do it up for the holidays big, right? They have a big family festival, a bunch of people coming around, exchanging gifts and stuff like that. My holidays, I don't know, it's just going to be me and maybe one of my sisters, and that'll be it. And I actually haven't got... Well, for the last couple years, I haven't really. Well, Shakespeare will be here, yeah, but I can't even remember the last time I actually got an actual present to unwrap. This year, my sister came in from Virginia because they're kind of looking at reception places where they're going to get married next year,
Oh yeah,
and
you said.
she bought me a present, and it brought a tear
Oh,
to my eye because she bought me this Wheel of Time uh, companion book thing, which has like a whole bunch of history of Wheel of Time with a whole bunch of images and stuff. She gets me, and that's kind of
shit.
like the first like present I've gotten in years, because I don't really get so. What are your plans for this holiday season for Christmas? Like, what do you normally do?
Well, my parents in England, and my family is like really small, and they don't bother with it at all. They don't even put a tree up. There's no decorations at my house in England whatsoever. So maybe they'll send cards and they'll, send my cousins gifts and my aunts and stuff like that. But my family's really small, man. So we don't really get together or anything like that. Because we pretty much my whole family already lives together anyway. What's left of it. But my German family, they're the complete opposite. They've got a huge tree. They're, big get together, loads of gifts and all that stuff. So I've bought all the gifts I'm buying, and I did it ages ago, man. To get it all done out of the way. No stress now. No last minute shopping. It's all done already and out of the way. And hopefully my gifts go down well. I don't know, but
Mm,
I'm hopefully just gonna be chilling for me. Like, give the gift of relaxation to yourself. That's the most important thing.
yes. Shout out to the Pong Soul, the master of podcasts. Like every single time I turn around, this dude is on somebody's podcast, whether it's his own living split screen or if he's with Mav on Xbox Ultimate or maybe popping in on one of Boom's shows. Every time I turn around, Pong Soul is there telling people what's going on in gaming, and he's became the newest member of the channel. So thank you so much, Mr. Pong Soul. We really appreciate you. Cause he's always here, Jez. He's always tweeting out
Yeah.
the stuff, and we really really appreciate you because YouTube sucks sometimes. They really do. Aaron, who's been a member for 15 months, says, "Love you, dudes. Thank you for providing a Monday show." Yeah, I believe Colt's not doing his show today. I think it's one of his. I think he just wanted a break, maybe, because I was talking to him earlier. So at least you have a podcast to listen to on Monday, and it's us. Silly Mikey in the super chat says, "I can always count on Xbox 2 to bring on the weekend. I guess I can log off work now. Thanks, guys. I'll tell my boss this the weekend clearly." Yes, and we'll have this up on Spotify and all those places. Which, by the way, if you're listening to this on Spotify, they just introduced reviews 1 through 5, just like on
Oh yeah.
Apple. So if you want to, you can always do us a favor over there. If you like the show, you can always hit that 5, give a review, and if you don't like the show, hit a 1. Me and Jez really don't, don't care so much if you hit the 1. If that's your true opinion, rather, So sometimes we trigger some people out there, Jez. Like your tweet today.
Yep. Yeah. We'll talk about that maybe in a bit, but
Yeah.
yeah, what was it? GameIndustry.biz put out an article saying like, what do we do about fanboys? And I was just like, man, what do you do about fanboys? But I don't know.
Well, you know what the funny thing is, though? Is that a lot of people say you're a huge Xbox fanboy, Jez, and you can't be trusted. That you're biased towards Xbox and you never have a bad thing to say about them ever.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, right.
What you gonna do, eh? People see what they want to see, man. If they want to ignore all the criticism I've leveraged at Xbox, and like I've literally had Xbox engineers tell me that they've made platform changes based on the articles that I put out, like the localization stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Microsoft Store now has a bunch of localization features in it, and the criticism of the Xbox community, which I amplified, helped make that feature better. Still not perfect, but it's gotten there, and that's why you have to criticize these companies. If all you do is praise them, nothing ever gets better. So why would anyone in their right mind want to just praise Xbox? Because if they're comfortable, they're not working for you. We are the customer, and they are the business at the end of the day. So
Indeed.
I don't know. I don't know why anyone would be a fanboy of a platform. It just makes no sense to me.
Mr. Double Barrel Gaming, Boom himself says, I just wanted to wish both Rand and Jez a very happy holidays. I'm hoping that in 2022, both you gentlemen can appear on the Xbox Factor podcast. Well, I mean, there's a lot of weeks in 2022, Boom, and I'll definitely be on one of your many shows at some point during the year, I'm sure. Andy Hart says, best day ever, was able to secure a Series X, arrives on Friday, and an LG NanoCell 4K 120Hz TV. Happy holidays to all.
Nice.
And it sounds like you're going to have an awesome holiday if you're upgrading to a LG NanoCell 4K with the Series X. That sounds pretty damn awesome. And we have Face, always supporting the show. Thank you, buddy. He goes, thoughts on Sony giving people who got Final Fantasy VII Remake from PlayStation Plus a free upgrade to PS5 was announced last night. I did see that. Square Enix is weird, okay? And you know what? I'm going to answer that, Face, because I just wanted to say, before I answer your question, before I get off on a tangent, I mentioned before, I wasn't feeling very well. I don't know, I haven't really feeling well at all this past week. That's why I didn't make any videos. I just didn't have the energy. I don't know, I have a headache, and I would just I sit down at the computer and be like, do I want to make something? And I don't. And then I woke up, I want to say Thursday, and I had this tightness in my lower back. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. And so I spent most of the weekend just kind of lying in bed. My back was kind of bothering me. And I wouldn't say it was pain. It wasn't definitely pain, because I've had pain in my lower back before last year when I quit caffeine, which I haven't had a drop of caffeine since, Jez, in over a year. But when I quit caffeine, for 4 days, I had the most debilitating back pain. The worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of my bed. I couldn't sit up in my bed without help. And when I tried, it was the worst pain ever. And I was prepared for bad headaches, dropping caffeine, since I've been drinking caffeine all my life. I was like, I'm dropping caffeine. And I was prepared for the caffeine headaches, right? And I never got one. I just got this back pain. So I'm searching Google, and I'm like, caffeine back pain, and I see a whole bunch of posts being like, yeah, same thing, and it was 4 days and it was gone. And then sure enough, mine was 4 days and it was gone. So then I woke. Strange. It's strange, yeah. And yeah, so I just all weekend I just really didn't do anything. I was kind of just laying in bed because my back was bothering me and I had a headache, and I had to cancel an Xbox era, which, by the way, I don't know if you saw this, Jez, which I'm sure you have, or anybody in chat here. They have 2 more days left on their Kickstarter for their Xbox book, which I guess I'm writing something for in there, which I don't know what I'm going to write about. They got 2 days left. They reached their goal. So if anybody still wants to help them or get a book about the OG Xbox, you can head over to Xbox Era and pledge your support. So, yeah. But back to Face's question. So Square Enix has been in news recently for a lot of different things. One, they took Final Fantasy XIV off sale. You cannot buy Final Fantasy XIV right now, right, Jez? It's so popular, they literally, had to, they're no longer giving out new subscriptions to people, and they're no longer selling the game, right? Because, the wait times and the queues are ridiculous, correct?
Yeah, it's it's funny. I saw that Square Enix had removed the game from sale on their store, and then literally a few hours later, I got an email from Sony saying buy Endwalker on PS4, and I was like, man, Sony, you're killing them out here, because it's all the same servers, right? But yeah, Endwalker's been taken off sale because the servers are literally full. That's never happened to World of Warcraft, even at its height. So that speaks to a lot of popularity, but it also speaks to massive chip shortages, meaning that they can't even find any servers to buy. So it's a double-edged sword at the end of the day. Suffering from success, I believe.
Yeah.
Believe the meme goes.
So there's that, and then they just put out Final Fantasy Remake on Epic, and apparently it's one of the worst PC ports of a AAA game in a long time. And it looks like they might have uploaded the wrong version, like they uploaded the debug version instead of the final release version or something. I was reading, but apparently it is just a complete disaster on PC. And I guess they also data mine the files, and it's coming to Steam at some point, which of course it would. Square Enix just loves taking money from anybody that'll give it to them. Epic, hey, we want the PC version. We'll throw you some cash. Square's like, okay. Hey, Xbox, you want something? Sure. Give us some. What's that RPG that came? That was a Nintendo Switch exclusive for a bit. Octopath Traveler. Yeah, sure. What about Game Pass for Outriders? What was that game? Outsiders? Outriders. It's like, just give us money. It. And then Square Enix, they're getting paid from Sony for Spoken, for a 2-year Final Fantasy VII Remake exclusivity, Final Fantasy 16. They're playing everybody. They're getting money from everybody in the games industry. Yeah. And then they announced just out of nowhere that anybody who had redeemed Final Fantasy VII Remake from PlayStation Plus was going to get a free upgrade, which I think...
kind of annoying if you bought the upgrade.
Well, yeah, so that's the other thing I was thinking is, like, they announced that so they gave it to everybody who PlayStation Plus, I think in March, maybe, or maybe it was April or something. It was, like, right before the Final Fantasy VII Intergrade version came out. And there was this big, huge, like, debate and controversy. It was like anybody who had redeemed it from there couldn't upgrade it to the PlayStation 5 version. And people were pissed. So I wonder if this was always the plan, to kind of time it with the release of the PC version, to get people who wanted the PC version to buy it. And then a few days later, okay, now we'll give it to the people who had the PlayStation. Because then anybody who was really probably like, I want it for PlayStation 5, probably bought the upgrade. Or, So it's like they probably got their money and they're like, oh, and then we can do this. So I wonder if this was like, if this was all just part of the plan. And they were like, okay, we got enough people who bought the game on PC and through PlayStation 4 to 5 upgrade, where it's like, yeah, let's give it away for free to people because anybody who wanted it already paid for it. But you know what we still can't get? Final Fantasy VII Remake on Xbox.
Yep.
And who knows if it'll ever come, to be honest with you.
I think it will eventually. Maybe a long time in the future, but it sounds to me that Square Enix won a whole bunch of money from Microsoft, and Microsoft's just like, I don't think it's worth whatever you're asking for. And that's why we haven't got it right now. I think it really is that simple. But judging by the quality of the port to PC, it doesn't sound like Square Enix wants to put much money behind it or investment behind it. If they're porting it like that, makes me wonder, like, how bad would an Xbox port of it be? I
don't think it would be. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Square Enix. They're definitely a very, very weird company when it comes to that stuff. But yeah, they've been in the news a lot lately. And I don't know. I don't know if Final Fantasy VII Remake's ever going to come to Xbox. I honestly don't know. I know Forspoken's a 2-year timed exclusive, and Final Fantasy 16 is a 2-year timed exclusive. Will they come? I don't know. I mean, you would think, yeah, why not put it on Xbox? It's been 2 years, but maybe they just don't have the manpower to do it. Who knows? I don't know what's going on with Square Enix.
I think a lot of Square Enix investment money is going into Final Fantasy 14 Realm Reborn right now.
Yeah,
it's like, didn't they say it's their most profitable game now? It went from being a complete disaster,
yes,
to being like their most profitable game.
One of the greatest turnarounds, because people hated it, and now it's like one of the most popular games out there. It's kind of crazy. It's also
it is.
a game exclusively not on Xbox.
Yeah, exactly. But I wouldn't. I think like a lot of Square Enix's internal engineering and internal investments probably going towards Final Fantasy 14 because MMOs need constant content to keep growing, and they're probably like struggling to get the servers and all that stuff. So they're probably just thinking like, do we want to even bother investing much of our own manpower into Final Fantasy 7 on Xbox right now? Because maybe Xbox's install base and what they project to be people actually interested in the game is not worth the effort.
Yeah.
So they're probably like, well, we want Microsoft to pay for this, and Microsoft, well, we can spend the money better elsewhere. Maybe. I think it's just one of those things, man. It's like bad timing mixed with more bad timing, mixed with more bad timing, probably. But if you want to play Final Fantasy 7, I guess you have to get it on the Epic Game Store or on PlayStation for now.
Yeah. Well, don't get it on Epic Game Store because it's completely broken. So get it on PlayStation or wait for the Steam version, I guess. But Sony does have that weird thing where if you redeem the game on PlayStation Plus, you don't get the free upgrade because they made sure to mention, and we didn't talk about this, but the Uncharted Lost, what is it like? It's like the Uncharted like Legacy of Thieves or something edition, what comes out in January. If you bought a digital version or the physical version of Uncharted 4 or Uncharted Lost Legacy or the double pack, you could upgrade to this new version for $10. But if you claimed Uncharted 4 for free on PlayStation Plus, you can't claim the upgrade for $10. So they have this weird thing where it's like, if you get it for free, you can't upgrade it. And most of the discussion around how do you feel about that, Jez? Let me ask you, like, how do you feel about Sony charging $10 for what is essentially a patch?
I think it's kind of like, I find it to be kind of exploitative personally, because these are like settings which can be tweaked really easily. They don't require a huge amount of dev work or anything. So they're just basically taking advantage of the fact that maybe a lot of console players don't realize, that, this is a standard thing on PC where you can like get these features just by flicking a switch. And so on the one hand, it's annoying, but on the other hand, it's like, well, if people pay for it, market forces decide, right?
Yeah.
So they're a business at the end of the day, and people have made the argument for ages that AAA games should cost more, and but my argument to that would be the money doesn't go to the devs; it goes to the execs and the shareholders and stuff like that. So I don't know. Does it actually lead to a better game, or does it just lead to execs getting richer? I don't know. It's up for debate, isn't it? Really? Yeah.
I mean, I think the discussion around it I've seen is that, hey, it's $10. It's not that bad. Oh, it's only $10 and I get the game. I think it's priced low enough where most people give it a pass. But when you have Xbox doing it for free, it's kind of just seems like, yeah, we know that you want this, and we know you'll pay for it. So just give us the money.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, even myself, I was like, Uncharted 4, like I could get that for $10. I'm like, it's just 10, and I was thinking, but I get all this stuff on Xbox for free. But then I'd be like, well, no, there's no they had to do DualSense stuff. It's like, okay, whatever. Like that's the $10 we're talking about here. Okay. Shout out to Sin Vendetta, our friend in the super chat, who goes, Rand Jez, it's been a much better 2021 with you guys on the Xbox 2 podcast. It's been a real help getting through this year with this podcast, and I appreciate you both for that. Happy holidays. And I see Sin tweeting a bunch about Elden Ring because Elden Ring's coming out soon. And I don't know if you saw this, but George R.R. Martin actually wrote a blog post about Elden Ring. And
really?
Yeah, he wrote it because I guess he wrote the backstory for the world and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's funny because on his blog, comments are disabled because, it's been 10 years since his last book for Game of Thrones or Song of Ice and Fire.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, yeah, obviously it's like, oh, so this is what you're doing instead of finishing the series, right? I'm gonna call it right now. I don't know what's coming out next year. Who knows what games will get delayed? I don't know if any of these, if Elden Ring is gonna be good, but I think Elden Ring is gonna win Game of the Year at the Keeleys.
You're gonna predict that right now?
Right now, today. I don't know what's coming out. I don't know if Breath of the Wild 2 is gonna come out next year. I don't know how good Starfield is. Who knows about, if God of War Ragnarok makes it next year, let alone is amazing, or Horizon Forbidden West. I think Elden Ring is gonna win.
Well, put a bookmark in that. Rand's made a prediction. I think Starfield could win if it's good, and Starfield would have the hype around it because of the timing, and a lot of people might have moved on from Elden Ring by then.
Well, the last 2 years, the last 2 Game of the Year award winners came out in March. Sekiro 2019 and It Takes Two in 2019 and 2020, 2021.
That's true.
Wait, yeah, that's 2020. True. No, 2021, 2020. Well, what? No, 20. Oh yeah. Well, Last of Us Part 2 came out in June, I want to say. So March, June, and March. I don't know. I just have this feeling with how sometimes you have the games media and they don't like hard games and they complain about it, and you always see these people write these articles about I play my games on easy and blah blah blah. But then a game from software comes out, and it's like the journalists suddenly are like, hell yeah, hard games. I give this like a 10 out of 10. And then what's going to happen is we're going to come to February. Elden Ring's going to come out. It's going to get 90 plus Metacritic. I'm calling it now. And you're going to have the whole discussion surrounding accessibility and difficulty in games is going to come up again, because it always does. It happened with Sekiro. It always happens when a very big and very popular hard game, quote unquote, releases. And Elden Ring is coming out in February. I guarantee you're going to see this whole discussion comes out, because people are going to be like, I want to experience the beautiful open world and the story that they wrote, but I can't because the game's too hard. I guarantee you it's going to come up again.
Maybe. Are you saying that game journalists give it like higher praise because they don't want to be called noobs?
I would not be surprised if some of them do. Yes, 100%.
Oh man,
100%.
Well, when I complete Dark Souls, do I have like my official gamer card? Does that come in the mail?
Yes, yes, it does come in the mail.
Oh man.
Artemis says, I would become a member once Rand learns how to pronounce my name right. Well, I guess I got to figure out how to pronounce your name right, Artemis. It's like AR, was that circle? Or AR0 Demus. So I don't know how you would say that. Jez, figure out how to say that so I can get another channel member.
Do I look like a professional orator of English language?
TB says, who's been a member for 3 months, says the Xbox 2 podcast is the gift that keeps on giving all year round. Your work is gratefully appreciated by all in the community. Thank you. Well, thank you for being a member for 3 months. We appreciate it. We love that everybody's here, even on a Monday, because look, I get it. Every podcast kind of has a schedule. They do it every single day. Or like RDX's Tuesdays, Colts, XNC's Mondays, Wilmy's show is on Wednesdays, Every podcast kind of has their day. ILP Sunday. And we're kind of just like, oh, we're Friday sometimes, we're Saturday sometimes. And here we are Mondays. Like, I feel bad that we don't really always keep on like a set schedule. And that is sometimes my fault and sometimes Jez's fault. And we really do love and appreciate everyone here who sticks with us, because I understand it can be frustrating. And I've gotten people in my DMs about it being like, I'm not watching your podcast anymore because I don't know when it's on, so...
Yeah,
I get
it's tough, and I get that too, But it looks like, Rand, we're gonna go back into a full-blown lockdown in Europe very, very soon. So I don't think I'll be going anywhere for a while. So hopefully, maybe we can stick to the Friday schedule in the new year for a while. We did manage a few Fridays in a row.
Yes.
Recently.
Jake Johnson says, why doesn't Xbox do 2-year exclusives like PlayStation or permanent exclusives? Wouldn't that bolster Game Pass further until their studios hit all cylinders? I mean, that is the question. We've seen reports that the Gunk is a permanent exclusive, which... Did you play the Gunk at all, Jez? I haven't been able to play the Gunk yet.
I did. I've played it for a few hours, but yeah.
Oh, so one of those things where you don't got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all type of thing?
It's just not my kind of game.
Okay.
I was bored. I was just
Alright.
bored.
Fair enough.
I don't want to clean up slime for a game, but there's like it has qualities beyond cleaning up slime. But honestly, I was bored, so I bounced.
Yeah,
After a few
fair
hours.
enough. So why do you think Xbox doesn't do 2-year exclusives like PlayStation, Jez? If you had to take a guess,
I don't know. Part of me wonders if like they don't want to be seen as the bad guy, and they're remembering all the negative press they got from Tomb Raider, which is hilarious because Sony went all over doing that, and the games media didn't make a peep about it. I don't know why they don't do that. Frankly, I think they should. I think they should do that. I think they should start doing that again. If that's...
do you think it's a money issue?
I don't know.
Because you look at the ones that are 2-year exclusives, they're the ones from Square, Final Fantasy 16 and Forspoken. The ones from Bethesda, which are Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, were a year. Do you think Xbox kind of just more or less is they're trying to get Game Pass titles and they figure like it's not really worth it for a year exclusivity to Game Pass or like 5 months and you can kind of extract the most out of it? Whereas Sony feels differently, where they're about like, we want you to get PlayStation 5 for Final Fantasy 16. Whereas Xbox is like, we want you to get Game Pass and we know we need titles, but we don't need these titles to be exclusive for a year to do it, kind of thing. I don't know.
I think Microsoft has said before about like a game being multi-platform generates more hype and then ultimately leads to more sales. So like maybe having access to the game, something they might have calculated like, you know, the sales would be better if it was multi-plat. I don't know, but I do think Game Pass is a factor there where, you know, their key performance indicators are engagement now, and specifically game engagement of subscribers for Game Pass. And that's how they, you know, calculate their bonuses and stuff. So Game Pass is definitely a factor. And like people in chat are saying like, you know, there's games that are timed exclusive like Stalker 2 and stuff like that. But that's a bit different because like Microsoft is sort of part funding development of those games. So there is like they will do that. They will part fund games in exchange for exclusivity deals, but they usually go for like smaller studios for that, like indies and stuff.
Are they funding Stalker 2 at all?
Well, that they've been given some upfront investment, sure.
I mean, because it only really, supposedly only has a 3-month exclusivity window, which is where I think like they want to extract the most from that game from Game Pass. So like, I think clearly a year exclusive is going to cost more than 3 months, right?
Yeah.
So to Xbox, it's like, well, if we can get Stalker 2 for 4 months, we can extract the most out of it when it's a new title, and it won't cost us as much, and then we can get that money to get other games to put on Game Pass.
Yeah. It's definitely some sort of cost benefit analysis, but like, you know, again, it comes down to philosophies there almost, because like you could argue that there are benefits to having multiple long-term exclusives that can't really be measured, like sentiment. Like, does Sony's exclusivity deals, do they create a sentiment around PlayStation where people are like, oh wow, I can't afford to miss out on all the AAA bangers Sony are grabbing exclusively, whereas Xbox isn't really bothering that hard to get those kind of games. You know, there's definitely an argument to be made there, I think, but I don't have the data, and Microsoft probably does. And I want to believe that Microsoft's high-paid analysis business peeps know more than me.
Well, we say that. However, we just got done watching the Power On Xbox documentary, and those high-paid peeps made some pretty bad mistakes.
Pretty high-paid mistakes. That is true.
So
that is true.
You never know. Like, did you watch the documentary at all?
I haven't seen it yet. No.
It's really good.
On my to-do list.
You really should watch it. It's excellent. But to say like, oh well, we think Microsoft has the data and they know what they're doing and they got all these high-paid lawyers and high-paid people from Harvard and all these things, it's like, yeah. And then they, the Red Ring of Death. Which, by the way, do you see that they're selling posters of the Red Ring of Death for like $25 or whatever?
I was thinking, man, that is bold.
That is bold.
That's a bold move. There's a school of thought in social media where it's like you lean into the negative memes about your brand and it disarms them. But I think there's also a school of thought where sometimes that can go too far. And I think trying to make light the Red Ring of Death is maybe pushing that philosophy a little bit further than I would. But
no, you're 100% right, because that's what 343 did with Craig. They leaned into the meme, they recognized the meme, they had fun with it, so you disarmed it, which was incredibly smart. And hell, there's an Easter egg of Craig in the game. In fact, I was watching some video with funny grunt stuff, and one of the grunts, after he kills Master Chief, goes, "Who's Craig now?" Right? Like, they have a whole bunch of fun with the Craig thing. So yeah, I get playing into the memes. When Brad Sams leaked the Xbox Series S, Xbox played into the memes. They turned lemons into lemonade. But there's just something weird seeing that, like, here's this thing that Xbox went through where it was horrible, right? Everybody, like, I had 5 systems or 7 systems go down. It was one of the lowest moments for the brand, and now it's just like a poster you can buy and put up on your wall, the Red Ring of Death, where Microsoft knowingly sold a system that they knew was going to fail. Like, is that something that should be celebrated? Like, I like looking back on it and talking about it, but like...
Yeah, I think that's kind of irritating, frankly.
Yeah,
because I went through 3 Xbox 360s when money was not an object. That I could afford to do that now, potentially, but I could not afford to do it back then. So I don't know if I'm okay with that meme, frankly.
Yeah, shout out to Don Matrick for coming back for that documentary. I was surprised. I'm like, there's no way that. Well, he basically was. he basically. He was just like, yeah, I wish we got to see out our vision for Xbox One. He didn't. I mean, it was cool to see. I don't like the guy at all, and I think his vision is sort of what led to the hole that Xbox went into. But like, he believed in the vision. I'm just like, hey, I can't believe Xbox was able to get this dude to sit down and talk about the Xbox One generation like that. But if anybody hasn't watched it, you should definitely check it out. It's really damn good.
I might post an article about this, but I have a bunch of documents from 2013, and I haven't really spoke about this before. But I literally have the PowerPoint presentation for their vision for 2013, and to be fair to them, a lot of the things they predicted ended up coming true.
Yes,
they were just too early.
Yes,
the document talks about how tech companies are exploring transmedia. What's happening right today? We've got Netflix shows for video games popping up left, right, and center, and they're being used to market games. Like that whole Arcane thing on Netflix. Arcane, League of Legends game. You're marketing the game to a new audience of players potentially. And one of the things I keep hearing about Arcane on Netflix is you don't even need to be a League of Legends fan to play it. Hell, even watching Arcane, I was thinking, man, I might try League of Legends. And then I realized, dude, that is exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and it's working on me. And this is all stuff Microsoft predicted. All stuff Microsoft predicted in 2013 was going to happen. And, you know, they were like, we got to get into movies, and they had all this data, and they're like, you know, Apple's going to do it, and they did. And they even used Netflix in this PowerPoint presentation from 2013, saying, look how Netflix, you know, basically captured the imagination of the entire internet and killed Blockbuster. We have to be like Netflix. And the only issue with it was execution. I think the problem is Xbox believed in it, but Microsoft itself didn't. And because of that, they couldn't fund it as much as it needed to be anything less than a joke. So instead of like using Xbox consoles budget, they should have had a separate budget for all the movies and TV show stuff, so it wouldn't have affected the Xbox stuff. They should have invested hard and gone really hard on it instead of the half-assed approach that we got in the end. Because ultimately, they were right. They were right about everything. They were right about always on. They were right about taking your content, no matter where you are, to whatever device. They were right about transmedia and movies, and, you know, turning your games into shows and TV shows and movies and stuff. They were right about everything. And I was literally looking at the news today, and like how it's all big news that YouTube TV just lost the license to ESPN and stuff like that.
Well, they got it back though.
Oh, they did.
They came to a deal with Disney. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, like, these are Microsoft's competitors. They're not TV companies by nature. They're tech companies, and they're competing with them. And Microsoft is right about everything. They're right about everything, and I'll die on that hill. The problem was the CEO didn't believe in it, and they didn't give them enough money. So what we got was a half-assed TV play and a half-assed console play, and they were in this big issue where Microsoft is too far behind to catch up on any of that streaming stuff, and they're still playing catch up on the console and game stuff. But I think 2021 and 2022 is the big turning point, man. I think next year is going to be fun too.
Ooh. Flame in the super chat says, it's weird. Guardians of the Galaxy is amazing, but it was shown it looked bad. Do you gents think Final Fantasy Chaos will be good now? Well, different developers. I always felt Eidos Montreal was a great developer, so I just kind of felt the trailers for Guardians of the Galaxy didn't showcase the game very well. And I forget who's making this Final Fantasy Chaos game. Jez, do you know?
Chaos
or whatever it's called. Like that's the main character in that is just like
the Souls-like.
Yeah, it's Final Fantasy something. Is it Team Ninja?
It's Team Ninja, isn't it? Final Fantasy Origin, isn't it called, or something like that?
Yeah,
it's Team Ninja, isn't it? Unless I'm going mad.
Well,
it doesn't. Team Ninja, man.
Yeah, I think it's Team Ninja. Usually they make good action games, but the main character says chaos all the time. I don't know. It doesn't look very good, but who's to say? Maybe it will be. But that's more of a that'd be a problem with Square Enix's marketing department. Like they don't know how to market their games.
On that?
No. Like it's just Guardians of the Galaxy ended up being really good, but most people didn't think it was going to be good because the marketing was bad for it. Right?
Right.
So there's this Final Fantasy game. Do you remember when that was supposed to be a PlayStation exclusive? A bunch of insiders says it was exclusive and then it wasn't. Whatever happened to that?
That Origin, Final Fantasy.
Yeah, Final Fantasy Origins. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks terrible. No interest. No interest in that.
Lord Starkiller XSX01 says not a good business by Sony or any company to charge a $10 upgrade fee. So let's start having consumers pay for tiered graphics. Yeah, never discount corporate greed for any corporation out there. I remember having this conversation with Colt and Dealer before the start of this generation, and I was just like, don't be surprised if some of these people start charging $10 or charging extra for next-gen patches. I was like, don't be surprised if prices go up to $70 or someone charges money for a patch. And sure enough, they raised the prices $10. Judging from NPD, that doesn't seem to be a factor. I bet you the entire industry adopts a $70 price point at some point, like all of them. And
yeah, Microsoft will too, I think
Microsoft will at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if Starfield is $70. Like Starfield is the first $70 game that Xbox puts out. I would not be shocked.
But that, my friend, just makes Game Pass look even sexier, I think.
Yeah, that is true. They can be like, well, it's $70, but it's on Game Pass. Achievement. Member for 4 months says Starfield will win the Keeleys because of recency bias. Potentially.
Yeah, I was
also,
thinking that.
Forza, though, kind of didn't get in, mainly, I think, because it's a racing game, but also the votes were already submitted before Forza came out. Will it be the same for Starfield? Starfield comes out 2 days later than Forza Horizon 5 did. Unless they change the cutoff date and how everything goes, there's a good chance that perhaps the panels all put their votes in and then they get their hands on Starfield and nobody goes back and change their votes. Like, surely I bet you Starfield will win an individual website's award, right? Like IGN's and the GameSpot's, Game Informers, they all do their own. But for whatever reason, a lot of people assume the Keeleys is like that's the game that won and is the best game of the year. So, yeah. Jacqueline says, "Hey gents, what are the chances PlayStation buys a publisher? The perfect fit to me seems to be Bandai Namco. Anime games with Crunchyroll. Evo goes with Tekken. Not to mention, they would own the other FromSoft. I mean." Buying a publisher, it's possible.
I think Sony, to buy a publisher, I feel like Sony would have to raise the cash with a creditor, which adds complexity. Microsoft can literally just dig under the sofa and buy publishers if it fancies doing it. I mean, obviously it's not that simple, but they don't have to raise capital. They've got tons of money to buy publishers. Microsoft has. So I think Sony would have to raise capital to buy a publisher, and they'd also have to convince their shareholders that it's a worthwhile investment, because like shareholders are going to be like, hang on a sec, you're raising all this debt, and that doesn't seem like a good business move. How is this a good business move? So Sony'd have to convince them too, and I don't know. It's complicated, I guess. But I suppose never say never. Never say never.
Yeah, after Bethesda, who knows?
Yeah, Bethesda sort of shook the industry up, and now you got Tencent buying studios left, right, and center.
Tencent bought Tencent bought Turtle Rock, which is interesting, and that was also a studio Microsoft was interested in years back.
Yep.
I don't know if they were interested in them recently, but Microsoft was definitely interested in them a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tencent's out there buying people. Who knows if Apple makes a play at some point? You know, there's still Google and Stadia. Like, that's probably not going anywhere. Amazon, you never know with Bezos. I mean, they just bought MGM. You know, Sony is making deals. Like, they purchased, 6 studios this year? Housemark, Bluepoint, Firesprite. The most recent one, which was more of a support studio, Nixis. So they're growing. I mean, and they said they were going to look at acquisitions just like Xbox was. I think you're going to see a lot of industry. What's the word I'm looking for here? I always screw up this word. Consolidation or whatever. It's going to just compress. You're going to have more companies just own more and more, or like not more companies, but basically a few companies own the majority of gaming developers. And then of course you have Embracer. Who's Embracer gonna buy? So hey, never rule it out. Sin, he goes on to say, Rand and Jez, I'm just gonna put this out there, but I know you guys have different schedules, but I think you two should find a way to co-op stream through Elden Ring. I'm in full support of this. He wants us to play Elden Ring, Jez. What do you think?
Yeah, I am definitely going to play Elden Ring, I think, but it looks pretty spooky and tough.
Negative.
That can be a tanky sort of build.
Negative Latency says, always a great podcast, guys. Look forward to every week. Also, all I'd suggest is more Stadia content. # Destiny 2. More Stadia content, yeah. Stadia, I can't believe Stadia is still a thing. Is anybody out there actually play Stadia that's listening to the show? I'm kind of curious. Probably not many people, right? I couldn't imagine. Let's see. Jay the Erp says, did you see the Xbox Mortal Kombat post? Interesting. I did not see the Xbox Mortal Kombat post. Did you see this, Jez?
I did not. What is this?
Let's go to Twitter. Let's take a look at Xbox. They always make these cool social media posts. Let's see. I saw the one with the weapon where it was like, which weapon are you today? And it was like 1 through 8 with a bunch of different facial expressions. I don't see anything about Mortal Kombat. Do you see anything? I don't see anything.
Nope.
Somebody will have to point it out to us because I don't see anything on here. Let me bring the chat back up. What else we got here? Lord Starkiller has been a member for 4 months. Says happy holidays to Rand Jez and the entire chat. Always a great podcast. That's right. And also do us a favor. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Share this out. It really does help out a lot more than you actually realize. Like more people more people watch. A lot of people don't know we're on a Monday, so sharing it out will let other people know, because YouTube is kind of iffy by sending out notifications. Some people get them, some people don't. That's why it's important to hit the notification bell and always select, hey, I want to be notified, like emails or whatever. It's not just enough to hit the subscribe button. You also got to hit the notification bell. And you think it wouldn't be. You think someone would hit the subscribe button and be like, hey, I want their content, but YouTube's like, no, you also got to hit this stupid bell. So, oh man, YouTube.
Yeah, I just want to address something in chat, by the way, because someone was like, Sony says they want to spend 23 billion in the next few years, and that might go all on gaming. I mean, yeah, maybe they will spend 23 billion just on gaming, but you can't be sure that's all on gaming, because Sony has a big portfolio of business interests. Like they got their TVs and they got cameras and they got phones and stuff. Sony may want to diversify their business. Maybe they'll be like, maybe we should diversify a bit, because what if things go bad with the gaming industry? What if something goes wrong? And one of Microsoft's strengths as a business for 40 years is how diverse their portfolio is. Like Xbox could go belly up tomorrow, and it wouldn't even dent Microsoft's business because they're so diverse in what they do. So, but will they spend 23 billion just on gaming? I think maybe. And could they buy a publisher with that? I think, well, if they've signaled to investors they're going to spend 23 billion, I think it's highly possible they could buy a publisher. It just sort of raises the impetus on Xbox, because if Microsoft is looking to compete with Sony, and Sony starts buying publishers out from underneath Xbox, much like Microsoft bought Bethesda out from underneath Sony, that could be an issue. I think Sony probably, if Sony does buy a publisher, I think what some other people were saying, Bandai Namco or Capcom or Square Enix even, would make a lot of sense. I think Square Enix would be a great buy for Sony, actually, because they get the MMO, which is a cash cow now. They get like a ton of other stuff. The main issue with Square Enix's operation is like stuff that Sony could fix.
No, but the thing there is, why, if you're Sony, why would you bother buying Square Enix? You already get everything from them, basically exclusively. Why buy the cow when you get the milk?
Yeah, but maybe you want all the bloody milk.
But they do get all the bloody milk. Final Fantasy 14 is only on PlayStation. Final Fantasy 16.
It isn't. And for most of the gamers are on PC, and they buy tons of microtransactions through the Square Enix store. Like if you want to change the way your character looks, you have to pay like $10, and Sony doesn't see a penny of that because it's all through their store. Square Enix's business is like really diversified away from having to pay that cut, and they've done a really great job of building up Final Fantasy 14 as a microtransaction platform that is separate from the store. Like all the stuff, Final Fantasy 14, like the Fantasias you buy and stuff like that, you buy all that on the web, and Sony doesn't see a penny of that. So I think that could give Sony their online play that they sort of don't have right now. Well, the
success of Final Fantasy 14 is just going to drive up the asking price for Square Enix as a whole. So
yeah, potentially. But I think Square Enix could also be like, I mean, look at Final Fantasy 14 struggle right now with no servers. Final Fantasy 14 is buckling under the weight of how popular it is. Square Enix can't buy servers fast enough. You know, there's one company with a load of servers lying around right now, probably not doing a whole lot, and that's Sony. It makes a lot of sense to me. Square Enix and Sony could grow together, I think.
The one and only Cold Eastwood says, how do we know Stalker 2 is a 3-month exclusive? Jez, do you know the answer to this? Because I do.
I don't know. How do we know? Well, tell us.
Because it was in that it was in the Apple Epic court case.
Oh yeah.
The documented information. It was like Gunk was a permanent exclusive. Stalker 2 was like a 3-month exclusive. Yeah, it was in like the internal Microsoft Xbox documents that were revealed during the Apple and Epic trial. So, I mean, could it have changed from 3-month to a year? Maybe. But at least we know when those documents were made that at the time Stalker 2 was only a 3-month exclusive through those legal documents. Which remember that trial, man. A lot of dirty laundry was aired out, you know.
Yep.
Artemis says 2 hints: Luca knows it, or my profile pic. Love the show. 2022 and beyond belong to Xbox. Yeah, it's gonna be amazing future. Dio Game says if did I mention if WB when? Maybe next year, maybe the year after. Who knows? They still have to complete their sale to Discovery, right? Or their merger?
Have they still not completed that?
I'm not sure. Chris R says, watching the documentary reminded me how exciting the first Gears was. What does the Gears franchise need to do to have its Halo Infinite moment? Well, there you go, Jez. You're the Gears guy. So what does the Gears franchise need to do to have that return to glory like Halo Infinite has seen?
Man, I think they need to. They need to shift gears.
Sounds like you're a writer almost.
I think they need to expand the genre a bit. Like Halo Infinite, kind of change genre, but sort of not at the same time. God of War comes to mind as a game that sort of grew what it used to be into some like almost like a new genre kind of, but also not. I think Gears could do that. There's a lot of ways they could take it. They sort of explored it a little bit with Gears 5, but not with a huge amount of conviction. More open world stuff. But you know, they don't have to go super open world, but I think more open gameplay areas would help. But also, I think like Gears should explore its melee system more and the combat system. We've had the same combat system in Gears every iteration of the game. Like they all play exactly the same way. They all look exactly the same. Like you could play Gears 1 Ultimate Edition and play Gears 5, and you'd hardly know there was that much amount of time between the two games, in my opinion. They play very similarly. I think like they have experimented with more melee in Gears 5, more melee weapons and stuff like that. But I think like they should go and make the melee combat way better. Like, why can't I use the chainsaw and like really cut things up and get really in there with the chainsaw? Why does it? Because it's always sort of like the same sort of format of the gameplay and stuff. I think they should explore that stuff a bit more. Maybe like, you know, take some risks. When Rod Ferguson came on board, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we need to betray the fans to show them something new." They didn't betray us at all. They didn't show us anything new, in my opinion. So, I think it needs to expand its genre a bit, and that's what I think. I might write about it sometime.
You should. You should definitely write about it. Oh man, Gaming Forte, what's up, buddy? He says, and he's been a member for 15 months. Rand and Jez, thank you for the entertainment in 2021. Hoping for a better 2022. Please check your nearest GameStop for Series X on the 23rd. # last chance. And if you know Forte is saying it, then it's going to be true. So, I don't know if that's like insider news, like he just kind of tipped it off here. But if anybody wants a Series X, sounds like GameStop's going to have them in stock on the 23rd, which would be a last chance to get them before Christmas. Man, how much do you think Sony and Microsoft are kicking themselves in the ass right now for not having stock? this holiday.
Yeah, the stock shortage sucks. We all know it sucks. I was looking at the prices of graphics cards recently, and it's just like, my God, man. Looking at scalpers on eBay and stuff like that. Everything's getting scalped. Everything with a chip in it is being scalped. Like phones, laptops, and stuff. It's mad times. And apparently, Intel was saying it's going to continue through to 2023. This chip shortage until a bunch of companies are making new chip plants. Samsung, IBM, Intel, loads of companies are making new chip plants specifically to sort this stuff out. And yeah. And MK says Rod is no longer with the coalition. Yes, indeed, he is not. Which is why maybe we can get a new perspective on things. I don't know.
Lord Starkiller says Power on Dock for Microsoft was great. Excellent job by Microsoft and Xbox showing the challenges of getting a console from concept to the consumer. And Smelly Wrestling Geek says in the super chat, have you seen the quote unquote leaked picture of an Elite Series X? I don't believe it's legit, but if it was, I'd buy it. It looked great. So
I have not seen that.
I have not seen a leaked picture of an Elite Series. Like, what's this Elite Series X? Did I miss something? Is this supposed to be like an Xbox Series X2, essentially? Like the Pro model or the 1X model? Is that what this is supposed to be? Does anybody have a link to this supposed Elite? I would like to see this concept of what Elite Series X is. I couldn't imagine it's real. Could you?
I don't think it's real. That's it's probably just a concept art that someone's trying to say is real or something like that.
You should find this out. I mean, also like with the stock shortages, could you imagine them trying to also put out a new console in 2023 with all the chip shortages going on? Yeah. Sergeant Rake says, two of the best podcasts in the biz. Thanks for all the shows this year. Have a very happy holiday, gents. Thank you, and hope you guys have a happy holiday as well. Nightwolf says, glad to be here, guys. Keep doing what you do. Excited to hear Rand and Jez's take on Splinter Cell. Oh, man, Splinter Cell. Ooh. Oh, man. Splinter Cell. Oh, we got to talk about that in a minute. Galantis says, have a good show, gents. I'll catch the replay at work. Awesome. Colt says, it's just fan art from Let's Go Digital. Of course it is. That's what this happened is, like, fan art suddenly gets turned into, like, legit stuff. And Miles Dompier is in chat, and he said it's just a fan prototype. Well, if it's just a fan prototype, was somebody trying to present it as an actual leak? And that's why people were just like, oh.
Nah. Yeah, what happens is someone makes a concept art and puts their like watermark on it, and then like on Instagram, some Xbox account, well, they'll take the watermark off it and then be like, real or fake ? And then just post a picture with no context, and then it sort of gets spread, and that's how you get fake news, basically. But yeah, oh well.
Let's see what else we got here. Jake Johnson says, speaking of you guys buying studios, is this a bad thing for the industry? Seems third party will be few and far between the next 5 years or so.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic to talk about. Like, is market consolidation bad for competition? Is it bad for, diversity of games and stuff like that? But I mean, it doesn't have to be. As long as the companies making the games are actually, allowing the devs to follow their vision, as long as they continue to take risks. I think what the big problem would be potentially platform consolidation. If we get to a point where like there's only like one platform, that's when you sort of get to a level where one platform holder can dictate the prices of games, and there's no competition for our money at that point. So I think it can be a good thing to a point, because like hopefully it means that the devs are in a more secure job. Like running an indie studio can be like hard financially, right? So like presumably being part of a big corporation makes your job a little bit safer, theoretically speaking. but again, it's only theoretically
I
speaking.
don't think it's bad for the industry. I think in some cases it's good because I think in some cases some studios might actually shut down, and that's never a good thing. And I don't really see a scenario where like 4 companies own everybody, right? Because some people aren't just going to sell. So, I think it's fine. You get a lot of creativity, a lot of new games put out. I think it's fine. I think some people are like dooming it, like oh, the sky's falling. There's like basically just Microsoft, Tencent, and Sony are going to own all the developers or something. It's not. That's never going to happen. Achievement says Xbox has a better relationship with Bamco than Sony. Maybe they do. Nathaniel says I'm super desperate for a Gears hiatus. Let it disappear for a few years while the coalition make new IPs that give them more ideas and experimentation. That's actually kind of what's happening, Nathan. Jeff Grubb is saying that their new IP or their other game that's not Gears is supposed to be coming around 2023. And Jez, you have documentation where you can at least back up the claim that they're working on 2 games, right?
Yeah, I know for a fact they're working on 2 projects right now, and it wasn't the Matrix thing.
Yes.
They're working on 2 projects for consumers.
And I think it was reported by Jeff that the smaller new IP is coming out first, scheduled for 2023.
Is it smaller then?
It's supposed to be kind of a smaller game. It's not like Gears level. It's supposed to be like a smaller project. But like Gears 6 probably won't show up until 2025, which would be 6 years in between games, which is quite a long time. So there's your hiatus, and it'll give people a chance to miss the franchise. And who knows where it goes from there? Things they can add. I'm excited to see. Because that was just kind of just like, oh, you get a Gears game every 3 years, and it's like, how much better could it be, or what could they do differently? And now it's like, well, 6 years, that's a big gap. They actually might start being like, you know what? I actually missed the franchise.
Yeah.
So
I get
that. Flame says, I think Kate just needs a child to chaperone. Yeah, sad mom, I guess, right? Poochie says, hey, Jez and Rand, you guys know anything about Double Fine's new projects? Yeah, Jez. So it came out that they basically Double Fine said that they're going to be working on multiple projects, which is something I think we talked about. Do you have any info or any sort of things on Double Fine and what they're doing?
No info on what Double Fine's doing, but after Psychonauts 2, I'm really interested to see what they do, because they're pretty great studio, I think.
Do you think it's a mistake for them to do like the whole studio was on Psychonauts 2 and they've been working on it for 5 years? And all nominated for all these awards. Do you think it's a mistake to then say, hey, we're going to split up the teams and do multiple projects, which probably means the games won't be as big as Psychonauts 2? Do you think that's a mistake where they don't do a Psychonauts 3 right away? Instead, maybe make smaller, more creative experiences? Like, what if they do a multiplayer project next as their next project?
I mean, they've kind of always operated like this, doing smaller games here and there, Kickstarter projects. And I think basically what they're doing right now is just doing what they've always done. And I think Phil in that show, Power On or whatever, Phil was basically saying, like, we buy studios for what they do good, not we don't want to try and change them or whatever. So I think this is just Double Fine operating as Double Fine operate. Maybe it's like, maybe we as Xbox fans, maybe we prefer them to make like a full-blown sort of, a bigger project over a few years, but maybe they just prefer doing these smaller little projects and stuff. And maybe they had like a couple of really good, ideas for games they wanted to do, and they couldn't decide between the two, so they were just like, yeah, let's just make both of them. I don't know.
Yeah. Pong Soul just sent us the Xbox Elite Series X or whatever in DM. Did you see it, Jez?
I did not. I need to go and have a look.
Just check the DM, it's there, and it looks nice. No way it would actually look like this, but yeah, it's a. I don't know why anybody would say. I hopefully nobody's running out there with this picture being like, it's confirmed when it literally says "Let's go digital." You remember, Colt? Do you remember how many people used the "Let's go digital" prototypes for Series X and PS5 in their videos and their thumbnails in the lead up to before we actually got what the new systems look like? Because they were all over the place. People were using them like all the time. Jacqueline says, last one today. Rand, tell me you're going to read Joe Abercrombie over Xmas break. Also, have either of you started Witcher? It's fantastic. I started The Witcher last night. I'm on episode 4 of season 2. I'm probably not going to read Joe Abercrombie over Christmas because I still have 7 books left to read in Robin Hobb's Alderling series, and that's probably going to take me through Christmas break. I did buy the First Law trilogy, Jacqueline, so I own Before They Were Hanged and whatever the name of the second and third one are. I actually own those now. So I'm going to read them next year for sure. I just probably won't be able to get to them immediately. Have you watched The Witcher at all, Jez?
Not yet. It's on the to-do list. It's on the to-do list, man.
You know, the season finale of Wheel of Time is on. Friday. It's on Thursday because they drop at like 6 p.m. my time, but Friday. And it's funny. I've gotten my buddy Obi. He's watching it and he loves it so much. He actually picked up the audiobook of the first book and is loving it.
Oh,
So
wow.
you know how happy that makes me? I have somebody I can actually talk to about the Wheel of Time. Granted, it'll literally take him forever to read the series or listen to the series, but like, I got nobody to talk to about this. Nobody, like even like Everborn Saga, who we'll talk about Wheel of Time. He hasn't even read the first book. He's like listening to it, and I'm just like, bro, like you're talking to me about Wheel of Time. You haven't even finished book 1 yet. Like I've read book 1 like 6 times.
Is the show like? Do you know what's going to happen in the finale from reading the book, or is it so different that you don't know what's going to happen?
Well, it's different enough where like I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Right.
So that's the thing. So a quick tangent, people. You guys know I love Wheel of Time. Randall Thor. Named myself after the main character. Yesterday I saw on Amazon Prime Video, they uploaded a video where they kind of went over the legacy and celebrated the life of Robert Jordan, who died in 2007 before he completed the series, right? Very nice, moving video. And in the comments underneath it are just people being like, how could you just ruin Robert Jordan's vision? It's an abomination.
Oh, wow.
Robert Jordan's rolling over in his grave. Why is this show woke now? It's the woke of time. There is this group of people in the Wheel of Time fandom that are called book purists, or I call them book cloaks. White cloaks are an enemy group, a bad group in Wheel of Time, so I call them book cloaks. But there's just these people that get so pissed off anytime something incredibly small is changed. Like, not incredibly small, but anytime something is changed. And I will say, they've made some significant changes to Wheel of Time. To characters and their backstories, how things play out in the first books, like things don't happen as they happen. And these people get so angry that they're like, Robert Jordan would be rolling over in his grave. And it's like, bro, you don't know Robert Jordan. You don't know if he'd be rolling over in his grave. Like, stop with this BS. There are people that are upset because the show's a little bit more diverse, right? A couple of the main characters are African American when they're not really presented as African American in the books. They're more white-ish. So there's that whole thing of like the freaking woke with the diverse casting and stuff, and it's just I'm just reading this stuff and it's like the books are the books, the TV show's the TV show, movies are movies. Like, I don't understand how people can't realize that you need to change things to properly adapt it for a different medium. So like I'm reading through these comments and it's just like these people just losing their shit over some changes in a fictional story. It's like the books are the books. You want to enjoy them, you can read them. They're never going to change. They're always there. Like, so no, I don't know exactly what's going to happen at the end of this first season because they've changed it enough where I don't know, and that actually kind of makes it exciting.
I think they have to change it to make it to make it interesting. Like when they remake games as well. That Resident Evil 2 remake, and that they had to move all the puzzles around as a basic example. Because if the puzzles were all the same, if it was like a 1-to-1 remake, it would have been super boring because everyone knows how to do the puzzles already.
Yeah, so I kind of know what should happen, but I don't know exactly what's going to happen, so it makes it really exciting for me to watch it. But there's just some people that are just they're just assholes. So not only do you have fanboys in Xbox, PlayStation, console war, Nintendo, you got like there's this like even in like BookTube or what like BookTube, yeah. Like I guess that's what it's called or whatever. There's this like and like anybody that likes Wheel Time is accused of being paid by Amazon for shilling and stuff like that. It's a thing, dude. It's a thing.
Wow.
Yeah. Poochie, thank you for becoming the newest member of the channel. Really appreciated. John G, who's been a member for 10 months, says, Happy holiday. Any recommendations for holiday games to play with my nephew on Christmas? Jez, do you have any recommendations for that'd be an interesting article or something you could write, holiday games?
I'm gonna play It Takes Two with my girlfriend over the holidays. It Takes Two is a co-op game, supposedly quite accessible.
It's very good. It's also, I'm so happy it won Game of the Year, which is why I have the gameplay running for it because it's incredible. I love that game. But I'm trying to think of any games that have any Christmas themes, and I really can't think of any off the top of my head. I don't know. Maybe somebody in chat can help them out. But that's something you should definitely think about writing an article like
Christmas themed games.
Christmas themed games, or something you could play with your kids on Christmas.
It's interesting.
FaZe Dank Dodge says, how closely does Xbox hold games to their chest? Well, the fact that Jez has all these project names for stuff not too close to their chests.
Yeah.
Right?
It depends on the studio, I guess. You know, some studios have different methods of, you know, keeping secrets, and some studios work with a lot of support studios, which makes the multiple points of failure for keeping things secret, I guess. But, it happens. It happens sometimes. But I think Bethesda done a pretty good job of keeping their stuff relatively hidden, I think.
Yeah, Muppet says, how is Shakespeare? Dude, Shakespeare was loving it these past couple days because my sister came in from Virginia, and my sister was always Shakespeare's favorite. So when she was here, he would follow her around, and when she would sleep, he'd be crying, and then she's gone now, so he's like really depressed. He was like the whole Saturday when they went out to look at receptions, he literally was laying upstairs by the door looking out the window just crying.
Oh, man, that makes me sad.
Yeah. But he's fine now. And shout out to Artemis, who I guess I said his name right because he decided to become a member of the channel. Appreciate it, man. Enjoy the emotes and all that good stuff.
It is funny how like every fandom has its like fanboys and stuff. Doesn't matter if it's console wars or books or manga, anime, whatever.
Yep.
Like I think like there's a point where taking things seriously can be too serious. I guess.
I even heard like Witcher fans are pissed at season 2 because I guess they made some significant changes from the books and they're pissed.
Oh dear.
So, whew. I love Wheel of Time, but like none of the changes they've made have made me super pissed. There'd be like 1 or 2 changes if they did that would make me pissed, but there's no way they could change it because it's too directly. They basically changed the entire story. But yeah, I've always like looked at it like, you know, you need to change stuff. So I don't get upset about it.
You know what actually made me feel that fanboy rage?
What?
Final Fantasy VII. remake.
Really?
Actually,
Yeah, because me
really.
and you still need to talk about that. Like, I like Final Fantasy VII a lot, and people said the remake. So I need to figure out. So the ending though is very like some people love it and some people hate it, right?
Yes.
And you hated it.
I liked it right up until the last act.
Oh, okay. And now you're like, fuck this, hate this thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm.
They did they did a couple of things which majorly altered the story, and I was just like, nah, this ain't it. This ain't it, lads. And
Interesting.
and from that moment I was just like, I'm a hater now. I don't like
Ooh,
this. I don't like what they've done with it. I'm not spoiling it, but it ain't the game I remember, and in a bad way. Like, I didn't even like what they did. I thought it was really lazy writing, bad writing, and just
interesting.
frankly weird. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I guess it's never coming to Xbox, so at some point I have to play it on my PS5. Achievement in Super Chat says, remember all the medieval portraits around Gears 5? What if they do a medieval game in the Gears verse that's a Souls-like with more melee weapons? Well, I mean, Jez would be like all over that now, right? Maybe they could make Gears more like what's that Remnant Shadows game or something?
Remnant from the Ashes. Yeah, I thought Remnant had an interesting formula, and I think it would work for Gears. People said it was Souls-like, but it's not really. It's sort of it's like it borrows something from Souls, like the whole Souls system, and losing stuff when you die and that kind of thing. But I actually thought it was more like Destiny, the way the world's laid out. You
Ooh.
like travel from dimension to dimension, similar to like planet to planet. I think that would work for Gears, something like Remnant from the Ashes, but in a sort of more consistent world. They could even do it online without upsetting the how Gears feels. I think they should look at Remnant from the Ashes as an example, but I don't know. I could write a whole article about that, and maybe I will. Maybe I will write a whole article about
Sam Tolbert says, tell you what, Rand, I've been getting back into reading. I'll start the Wheel of Time series in 2022. Uh-oh. Getting more people to read this stuff. Where's Obi? Hopefully Obi's still here. Because Obi's loving it, but he's listening to the audiobooks. I found it feel bad if Sam starts to read it and he's just like, man, this is trash. And his opinion of me lowers because of it. But I don't care. I love Wheel of Time till the day I die. I don't care. You can say it's trash and it won't bother me any. RDX Cinefet says Sony makes up 60% of console porn traffic. I did see that.
That's pretty amazing.
That's an interesting stat. I don't know if it really means anything other than their... Yeah. Anyways, someone asked me if I've read Sword of Truth, Doom Reaper. I did read Sword of Truth. I think I read the first 7 books or something. I read a lot before I quit, and now I'm back and reading more. Well, I haven't been reading much because I just haven't been in the mood. But yeah. So, Jez, let's talk about Splinter Cell.
Splinter Cell.
So,
sure.
Yeah, because we got Splinter Cell to talk about, what we think
right?
Xbox is going to do in 2022. Xbox Game Studios, like, basically getting a lot of Game of the Year awards. You knew I had to talk about Splinter Cell because it's interesting. Like, this past month, 2 of my wishes have come true. 2 games or 2 franchises that I wanted to come back have come back. We have Alan Wake 2, which was revealed at the Game Awards, coming back after 10 years or whatever it's been. So excited. And out of nowhere, we get an announcement of a new Splinter Cell in development at Ubisoft Toronto, super early, which means it's probably not coming out anytime soon. It's a remake, presumably of the first game, which I wonder if Michael Ironside's got to come back, right? Like, if you're doing Splinter Cell, although it's a remake, it was such a weird announcement because it was just like, whatever. By the way, we're hiring. Splinter Cell's back. And the funny thing about it is I knew this announcement was coming. So
Oh.
about a month ago, one of my friends said, "Hey, Ubisoft is prepping the Splinter Cell remake announcement." So I knew it was coming. I had known it, like, so I was like, okay. He's like, it's gonna pop up one of these days. I don't know when, and then it did. Am I wrong to think that the reason they announced it is because of all the crap that the gaming community gave them over their announcement of NFTs and Division?
Man, I don't know. I I want to think no, because I don't think, because they're not going to stop doing NFTs, right? They're not going to stop doing it. And is that a significant enough distraction really from NFTs? I don't know.
Well, I know
Maybe,
because every single time they would announce like a new game, like, oh, here's X Defiant, right? Or here's this new free to play Division game or whatever, and everybody would collectively roll their eyes, right? Um, People would be like, just announce a new Splinter Cell, just announce a new Splinter Cell. That's what we want. That's what us gamers want, and they wouldn't do it. And finally, I guess maybe because they hit the low, they announced like the NFTs and Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and the video gets removed from YouTube. And then not that soon after, here comes an announcement, and it's like, they didn't even announce it at one of their own shows where they could have had like huge applause, like the lights. It was just a tweet, like a video, a blog post, just Splinter Cell's back. All right, cool. It almost, to me, seemed like they were using it as, hey, we're doing what you guys asked us to do. Please don't be upset at us.
maybe. I mean, depends how cynical you are, really.
I
But
can be pretty
I don't.
cynical, especially when it comes to Splinter Cell and Ubisoft lately. I mean, come on, how many times have you gone on a rant about Ubisoft during this podcast?
Well, there's that, but there's also like, I don't give a damn about Splinter Cell, and them bringing back Splinter Cell doesn't excuse all the rest of the crap they've done the last couple of years. You know, I don't know, man. I think they just announced it like that because they know no one's gonna care, because no one cares about it, Splinter Cell, man.
Mm.
I think that's the truth. It's been announced that way as a reflection of how important of a franchise it is, man. And probably a reflection of how much budget they're going to put into it as well.
Like, yeah, like Eric the Beard says they could have announced it at the Game Awards. Absolutely. Like, you saw EA announce the new Dragon Age way before it was ready, or the new Mass Effect way before it's ready, just to get some hype. Like, you're telling me Ubisoft couldn't just have a little gif of the 3 green lights lighting up and be like, Splinter Cell's back. And people would have been like, hell yeah. You know what I mean?
Face it, dude. It ain't big enough. That's the truth. You're not seeing because you're too close to it. Nobody cares about Splinter Cell. That's the truth.
But I care about Splinter Cell.
You are the only person.
No, Risk It for the Biscuit says he cares about Splinter Cell too in the chat.
Yep, you and Risk It together are the only people on Earth who care about Splinter Cell. That's just the reality of it, man. It was nothing to do with the NFTs. It was nothing to do with them trying to win people back. It was just because they know no one cares. That's the truth of it, right? No? Rand?
I hate you.
No?
You're mean.
Look, man. I am the bearer of reality in this equation, bro. Nah, I honestly do think that. And not that like no one cares, just that it's been gone for so long that it's just sort of become this sort of thing that doesn't really matter as much anymore. So yeah, that's what I think.
And what about NFTs?
Didn't we talk about that last week? Did we?
I mean, I'm saying, do you think Splinter Cell's gonna have NFTs? Is I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course it is. I think all their games are gonna have NFTs going forward. I think what they'll do is they'll do NFT collectibles similar to what Stalker 2's done, and everyone will get mad, and then everyone will forget, just like they've forgotten already with the other NFTs they've done. I think like NFTs for Ubisoft are here to stay, and they're gonna do them until like it becomes like not even worth the server stuff to keep it running. But yeah, I think there'll be Splinter Cell NFTs, and I think there'll be NFTs for all the next games that are coming. I would half bet money that they are developing Far Cry Infinite and Assassin's Creed Infinite with NFTs in mind. I would not be surprised about that.
A gamer by choice says he'd rather play Splinter Cell than any exclusive. And Achievement says, I'm going to buy Splinter Cell on the OG Xbox and see what's up. It's probably a little bit dated, but yeah. Dub says he's been a member for 6 months. Says happy holidays to Rand Jez. Thanks for all the hard work this year. You think Xbox will lock down Splinter Cell as an exclusive? No. Probably not.
Hey, they might.
I mean, maybe, but I doubt it. Ubisoft tends not to do those sort of things.
If you're Ubisoft and you're making a single-player game, and you don't want the risk of a single-player game, I suppose you've got two choices, really. You could give it exclusivity to a platform, or maybe you just make the whole game about NFTs, man. Maybe they make all the money back on.
It depends
NFTs.
on which one they're remaking. Like, they could remake Chaos Theory and have the Spies versus Mercs multiplayer mode that they can monetize.
What's that?
That's their multiplayer mode. Spies versus Mercs. 4 spies, third person versus 4 mercs, first person. It's a very, very fun mode. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if the multiplayer will be in there. And you are right. Like, typically, like, Ubisoft doesn't do single player only type games like this. Like even Assassin's Creed single player, but it's considered a games as a service. Splinter Cell well, no, I mean they also are doing the remake of Prince of Persia. So
that is true.
But that doesn't seem like that had a lot of budget to it, though.
NFTs, man. It's Prince of Persia NFTs.
No, I mean the budget of Prince of Persia is probably like $100 because people were complaining with how it looked,
Oh right, yeah. No, they didn't. They bought Prince of Persia back, and everyone was like, "Dude, what the hell are these graphics? Fix it." So they took it away and they took it back to the drawing board, didn't they? Mm. Basically. Yeah. Yeah. What are Ubisoft doing these days? I don't know. But if they do bring back Splinter Cell's remake and it's really good, are you gonna, forgive them for all the NFTs? Are you gonna, buy Splinter Cell NFTs, right?
No. Why would I buy a Splinter Cell NFT?
Because you can own a piece of Splinter Cell history. World's first ever NFT for Splinter Cell. You could be the sole owner of that JPEG, man. That skin. No? Doesn't entice you? No? Right?
No, NFTs don't. Like I need to ask you about this. So, what was the whole NFT drama surrounding Stalker 2? Because I saw that stuff on Twitter, and it looked like they released like a book about some NFT thing where you could be like a character in the game, and then a couple days later, they're like, "Yeah, there's no NFTs in our game." What was that all about?
Yeah, that's fun and interesting. So, long story short, Stalker announced a bunch of NFT collectibles for the game. They were going to sell them off. They were going to get a cut and all that kind of thing. Everyone was really mad because no one likes NFTs. Stalker came back with a sort of excuse saying, like, we're a small dev, we want to raise money. Everyone was still mad. So then they deleted that a few minutes later and just released another statement saying we've removed any form of NFTs from the game, blah, blah, blah. Huge backlash. Backlash about 10 times bigger than the backlash against Ghost Recon Breakpoint, because no one cares about Ghost Recon Breakpoint, I guess. It's fun. It's kind of funny to me because it just shows the difference in how passionate people feel about Stalker versus Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Lots of people care about Stalker. Not a lot of people care about Ghost Recon Breakpoint. But man, it's just It's just a way to scam rich people, and that's the way I'm thinking of NFTs now. Like, there's no way I would ever bother buying one. I just not interested in that stuff. But I do kind of feel like they are gonna manage to sell a load of them, and but it's gonna be mostly to rich people speculating that one day they'll be able to flip it for a profit. Maybe they will be able to, but I ain't interested in even bothering to try to do that personally. But I don't know.
I have a couple buddies who are super, super big into NFTs.
I mean,
And they talk about it all the time, and they want to like rag at people who hate NFTs on Twitter. That, you know, it's just funny, but they like biting their tongue and not saying anything. And I'm just like, I mean, I know what an NFT is, and I still haven't really seen any convincing argument of how they make gaming better. And it just also happens that my friends who do like NFTs are also the big time investment people that love investing and making a bunch of money off of investment. And I kind of feel that's what NFTs are all about. Like,
pretty much.
The idea of like, oh, I could buy this for $50 and then sell it to somebody for 200. And it's like, yeah, but does that make the game any better? Like, because every time I say, well, like, what? How does NFT make games better? It's like, well, imagine if the gun you got in Destiny 2 was completely unique to you, and you owned it because it was on the blockchain, and it was totally unique. I'd be like, yeah. And then you could sell it. And then you could sell it. Or maybe, like, you could bring that gun from Destiny 2 into Warhammer, because Warhammer's also on the blockchain, and you owned it. And I was just like, yeah, the idea of like a gun in Destiny 2 coming to a different game is unrealistic, even if it's on the blockchain. But like, so does gaming become an investment then? Like, so I'm supposed to be excited about like a potential thing I buy in a game might be worth more in the future? Like, is that what makes it better? Because it kind of seems that that's what the argument is. Like,
I mean, it kind of basically is. It's just like the argument is that one day it might be worth money. But I don't think I don't think that makes gaming any better, because they can implement these features without the blockchain, and games do already, like CS:GO, for example.
Yeah, and like Diablo 3 did it with their real, their marketplace or whatever. But yeah, no, I've never really seen an argument that I've read or heard that was just like 100%. I get it now. I get it why this would make gaming so much better than it is right now. It's always just like comes down to you own this digital thing and then you could make money off of it, and it's just like that's it. It's like how. I mean, maybe for some people that would make gaming better, but like I don't know. Maybe I'm jaded, or I just look at that stuff and I'm like, yeah, that just seems dumb. But then the people are probably like, well, if I buy this thing for $5,000, maybe I can sell it for $50,000 later on. Yeah. It's like, I don't know, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know. Like but here's the thing, this is gonna storm into gaming. Yeah. Because I would imagine Ubisoft and all these companies are licking their lips, thinking like we could take a percentage, a transaction cut out of every one of these things, and these idiots are going to be constantly buying stuff and then selling the stuff. So we're going to be constantly, like, the idea of making artificial digital items scarce, like artificially digital scarcity makes no sense.
It doesn't.
And that's that's what it is. I understand, like, oh, I have a physical copy of the game, and there's only 3 copies in the entire world, and this copy is $5,000 because there's literally no copies. It is an actual, like, scarce product. But the idea of, like, digital is that you can make as many as you want. There's no limits to it. But now you're putting artificial limitations on it simply because you can, and someone might be able to sell. And I don't know if you've seen all the other stuff, like, artists who've posted their things on DeviantArt or whatever, and then other people stealing those artists' works and then uploading them as NFTs to sell. Have you seen any of that stuff?
I haven't, but I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, so any artist who uploads anything on any website, someone can just right-click it, take that image, and if it's not already been uploaded as an NFT, well, now it's an NFT, and that person's making money on it. Like,
yeah,
futures sounds pretty shitty.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But I think it's just going to be another thing. It's going to be like loot boxes. You can engage with it or not engage with it, at the end of the day. But I think it's going to be all over the place next year. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be really annoying. Because there's going to be people who are like, yeah, I've got NFTs, and they get really passionately into it because they're monetarily involved with it. If you've spent money on something, then yeah, you do feel more passionate about it, right?
That's true.
But yeah.
Everyone's idle girl says, how many cells could a Splinter Cell sell if a Splinter Cell could sell cells? Hashtag Splinter Cell.
Well.
Yeah, I didn't screw that up at all. Normally I would. Dark Siaya says, thank you, this was great. Also, because of you guys, thanks, happy holiday to everyone. Well, thank you very much. As well. Let's see. Risk It for the Biscuit says the same idea as done with diamonds. B116 says scalpers are going to scalp the NFTs. Alvin says as long as it's optional, I don't care. Well, that is a good point. If as long as it's optional. Splinter Cell equals stonks. Achievement says just bought Eye of the World on Audible. I'm a meat cutter, so I have 4 hours a day listening time. I'll DM you my thoughts afterwards. Awesome. Can't wait to hear what you think. Let's see. Yeah. I don't know, man. The NFT stuff, I'm not a fan of it. I love the... I mean, look, the whole Splinter Cell thing is I know they're going to put NFTs in that stuff because they know people want Splinter Cell to come back, and they're testing it out in Breakpoint right now because Breakpoint's a dead game, so there's really no harm in introducing something that people don't like in a dead game. This is all just testing grounds for when they put it in their popular games like Assassin's Creed and Rainbow Six and stuff like that. But I can see them easily doing Splinter Cell simply because it's a much requested game. Like you say, Jez, nobody cares about Splinter Cell except for me and a couple other people in chat. So why not monetize that audience by introducing some NFTs that hardcore audience might buy? Right?
Yeah.
So they totally will. They totally will. Also, we saw NPDs come out. I think, what was it, Monday last week? No surprise, Switch won. But I guess the Xbox outsold PlayStation, Jez, and one of the reasons why is because of Series S.
Really?
Supposedly.
I did not see that. But doesn't surprise me too much. The Series S is available. PlayStation 5 isn't. So I was looking maybe considering getting a PlayStation 5 for the Souls-like games, but can't believe you find one. And then I just thought, man, I've already got a massive backlog. Do I really, really want to abuse my backlog by adding a PlayStation into the mix? So I just thought, nah, skip it. We'll skip it for now.
Skip it for now. That Sir Noob says, Vizio OLED or LG OLED? I'll say LG OLED. Yeah, so I've seen people say that Xbox outsold it, but like I haven't really seen official confirmation from MPD. I did see something from Business Insider today that said basically like, here are 3 reasons why the Xbox is outselling PlayStation this holiday. So sounds like it's most likely true, which if you would have said that a year ago or 2 years ago, if you're like in 2019 and said, hey, a year into holiday, PS5, Xbox, and Xbox would outsell PS5, I think most people would have said that's absurd.
No chance.
No chance in hell. But shortages, and I think Microsoft prioritizes Series S, and with how everything ended up playing out, with Halo Infinite releasing, and people really loving it, Forza Horizon dominating, and Psychonauts 2 and everything doing with Game Pass and Back for Blood and Microsoft Flight Sim and Age of like, people were just like, all right, I think Xbox is on the right path. Series S is, there to buy. So let me get it.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, like, what happened to Sony's production? Like, you figured, like, if there's any point in time you want to produce consoles, it's for the holidays when people are actually going to spend money. And did they just, like, completely screw up? Like, I don't know.
Man, I don't know. All I know is that it's super hard to get the chips for it, I guess.
Yeah. Risk It for the Biscuit in Super Chat says, Jez is wrong about Splinter Cell. They're bringing it back as a reaction to all the bad press lately. It's to win back some confidence from the fans.
I don't know. They announce Assassin's Creed Valhalla made ridiculous amounts of money, like more money than any Assassin's Creed ever. I don't think Ubisoft's really that aware or that cares too much about what people are saying. It's when it affects the bottom line they start caring, I guess. And I don't think sentiment's reached a point where it's affecting their bottom line yet. But I could be wrong. Maybe they're doing it for the fans, but I think they were doing it anyway, frankly, just to stop people like Rand moaning about it.
Stop people from me moaning about it? Yeah, right? I mean, potentially, I suppose that could be a case, yeah. Lord Starkiller says, Series S is a great value for next-gen console. 100 plus games to play at 120 frames per second. Only $299. That is a damn good price, and that's basically Microsoft's plan. Who would have known that their plan would have played out better than anybody could have realized? Right?
Yeah.
They're the two-tiered plan. You got the $500 Series X, the $300 Series S. I remember people saying the Series S was going to be on store shelves and nobody would want it. And here you go. Basically, Series S is the reason why it's outselling the PlayStation this holiday.
It's getting some really good press too. Like I can't remember what website it was. Actually, I think it was Tech Radar. It was one of our websites. They put out an article saying the Matrix, I can't remember what it's called now, but that Matrix demo apparently runs really well on the Series S, sorry. It runs really well on the Series S, which proves that if you make a game natively for the Series S, that it does work really well. And it was basically like, yeah, look at this. This is like next-gen graphics running on a $300 console. Like, yeah, a lot of the people here are happy with, the Xbox One X, right? But Xbox Series X, sorry. But there's a huge market of people out there who don't even have a 4K TV yet. And for them, the Series S is making more and more sense as time goes by. Because as time goes by, more and more games are actually built from the ground up for that console as well. So I think like in the next couple of years, the Series S is going to really like come into its own as well.
And Flame says, no, Jez, the announcement made more people moan. Mm-hmm. Well, then I think you also got to factor in the fact that like you go look at any of these big websites and who's IGN's Game of the Year, Jez?
I don't know.
Forza Horizon 5. IGN's Game of the Year. CNET's Game of the Year was Psychonauts 2. Halo Infinite was Game Informer's Game of the Year. Halo Infinite, the game that everybody thought was going to be garbage when they showed it off in 2020 after that demo, ended up being Game Informer's Game of the Year. And then GameSpot gave their Game of the Year to Deathloop, even though it was a PlayStation exclusive. At the end of the day, that's an Xbox studio now. So now we've turned in 2 short years, 2018, when Xbox couldn't really release a game that wasn't Forza out of the 60 Metacritic zone, right? You had like State of Decay and you had Sea of Thieves, and you just had these games launched that weren't in a great state with a lot of content. And I think that was the year, maybe it was the next year, where Phil Spencer was at the Game Awards and said, it wasn't our best year, we'll do better. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
It was just like, yeah, we could do better, it wasn't our best year. Here we are a couple years later, and A bunch of their games are winning Game of the Year stuff. And there's probably a good chance some of their games are going to win Game of the Year next year in 2023. Like, that's a pretty quick turnaround. Like, granted, it took a while, those acquisitions and everything, but, I mean, I don't know. Like,
what will it take? What will it take to really? Because I still don't feel like they've connected with normies. What will it take for that? Like, your average everyday gamer doesn't listen to podcasts, or they still think about things like the Red Ring of Death. Like, how do you connect with those gamers? How do you turn the brand around for the masses who, they don't care what Game of the Year is. They only care what games their friends are playing. And their friends are probably playing Call of Duty on PlayStation. Do you need the Call of Duty marketing deal back? Do you need things like that? Do you need more games like Halo Infinite? Is Halo Infinite by itself enough? I still think they've got work to do.
No, I mean, of course, like, there's always work to be done. And you are right. What would... some people would say, Jez, that they need a superhero game. They need something that reaches the mainstream. Like, we just saw Spider-Man No Way Home just, like, break... I think it was, like, the third highest opening weekend ever at the box office here in the States. And that's mainly because, like, the MCU is so popular, and it looks like Sony and PlayStation have a stranglehold on Marvel characters. They got Spider-Man 2 coming in 2023, Wolverine coming probably 2024, and those type of games do leak out more into the mainstream than a lot of other titles. So there are some people that would be like, hey, we saw Wonder Woman get announced by Monolith and Warner Brothers. It was announced with no platforms, so they're not backing themselves in their corner yet. Some people would be like, you know what? Xbox, you need to go out there and you need to do your best to make that an exclusive. Or better yet, you need to buy Warner Brothers so you can get all the DC games as exclusive, because people know what Justice League are. They know what Wonder Woman is. They know what Batman is. You need to fight fire with fire. Some people would say that. Would you agree with them?
I think for certain markets, Spider-Man, seems really big in America. And I suppose it's big globally because people are really into it. But I do think, like, piggybacking on existing brands is a good way to do it. Microsoft knows this too. Like, they do with Minecraft all the time. There's, like, Spider-Man skins and Marvel skins and Halo skins and Star Wars skins and stuff like that. I think Microsoft knows it, but I also think Microsoft's wary of, like, tying themselves to something they don't own is something that I often feel with Microsoft, like, when it comes to making a big game. But yeah, I mean, but who would they do it with? Like, what comic book superhero could they realistically buy out, and which studio would make sense for it? I think we've talked about it before. What franchise is big enough? Because there's lots of comic book heroes they could tap into, but if you're gonna do something like that, you need someone like Spider-Man, right?
Well, yeah, Spider-Man is, like I said, Spider-Man is one of those franchises that just kind of eats Star Wars as well, which is probably one of the reasons why they went after Knights of the Republic. It just kind of has that broad appeal. I think Microsoft is hoping that Game Pass is the play. Not necessarily a single game, but Game Pass as a service is what's going to eventually break out. Do you think that's something like, I don't know, I sort of feel like that is their play towards the mainstream. And a subscription service that can get you a whole bunch of games for super cheap. And then when their first party starts throwing stuff in there, if their games are good, the hardcore talk about it, which then gets put on social media and YouTube, and then it kind of trickles down to the casual gamers. And here's this game. Do you think Game Pass could be that play? Because I don't know, like when you look at Xbox, they don't really do licensed content very much.
the masses don't play many
Well,
games.
that is true. They really don't.
They only play a couple of games. So for a lot of the masses who only want like Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft, Call of Duty, I don't think Game Pass is the silver bullet, because a lot of people, they don't want the quantity. They don't even want the quantity. I think more things like what they're doing with Halo, where if you're a Game Pass subscriber, you get extra benefits for those games. I think like if they do more stuff like that, if they can get like more deals with Fortnite and Call of Duty even, and I think this is why Phil says there's no one play for Xbox, because every gamer is different. Every gamer does things completely differently. Some gamers want tons of games. Some gamers only want to play a few little games here and there. Some want to play on multiple devices. Some want to play only on one device. Some people have more time. Some people have less time. So I think they need a bit of everything, and I think like we can look at what their strengths and weaknesses are right now. That like they've won a lot of recognition from the press again, and the hardcore for like some of their wins lately. They've got a very diverse but niche quality games. Like, I'm never going to get into Forza or Flight Simulator, but those games have their audiences. So I suppose like now, Halo Infinite is kind of like their play for the Call of Duty audience, but I think they still need more there. I don't think one is enough. They need a game that can sort of really, really, really blow up and keep blowing up. And maybe Halo Infinite is that, you know? But I think like multiple games like that is probably needed. I think they do probably need a battle royale, you know? Like, and I think that's why like a lot of streamers were like, Halo Infinite won't survive without a battle royale. They're seeing it from their little bubble. But what they mean is that there's a whole younger audience out there. They only speak the language of battle royale. To them, like deathmatch or capture the flag is like, what the hell is this? They want to see battle royale. So I do think like even if it's not Halo being the battle royale, I think they do need to look at battle royale as well. But they need something for everyone. And then I think like what you do is you then tie it to Game Pass with perks, similarly to how like Twitch has like loads of perks for being a Prime member or whatever. Like, I'm subscribed to Amazon Prime, and I end up using it without even realizing I'm using it. So it's constantly giving me feedback like, you're getting value out of this. I got some Fallout 76 consumables from my Amazon Prime subscription recently, and like I was like, oh, okay. And then like it tells me in my brain that my Amazon Prime subscription was worth it, and I keep it rolling in, year out. So I think they need more stuff like that for Game Pass, and in a bit of everything, man.
Okay.
I don't know.
So on that note, let's talk about Xbox for 2022, Jez. I know you got an article coming out in the future. I guess I'll go first. And I know it's the big one that we always get, right? Almost every single podcast, we always get this question essentially asked to us. Acquisitions. Yeah, people always ask, are they going to make any? Now, I think if you actually go back and listen to when a year ago, we said, would we expect any in 2020 or 2021? I think I said no, because I think they were going to basically do their best to get Bethesda onboarded, and that was going to be it. And that's exactly what happened. I know a lot of... I still, have fond recollections of people being like, Take-Two's about to be acquired. Or, when I thought Avalanche was going to be acquired at E3 because people were saying it was happening behind the scenes and that was all just a bunch of bullshit. But I never really believed they were going to get anybody this year. I'm going to say next year they do. I'll say next year they at least make 2 acquisitions. Huh? How do you like that? 2.
2 acquisitions? That's
2
your
acquisitions
prediction.
next year, yes. Minimum 2.
What size are we talking here?
I don't know. Who knows? Could be, Crystal Dynamics size. Could be smaller indie size. Could be publisher. I'm just saying 2 acquisitions. Like, hypothetically, if Xbox acquired Warner Brothers, that'd just be 1 acquisition. That wouldn't be 8 because they have 8 studios. That'd just be 1. So I'm going to say 2.
Mm.
What you got any feedback for me? Think I'm going a little too much here?
I mean, I haven't got any information about acquisitions for one thing, but Microsoft has signaled. They signaled repeatedly last year we're going to make more acquisitions. So I think 2 is probable, and we're seeing Tencent come in with pretty, you know, quality studios, quality acquisitions, and yeah, Tencent right now is multi-platform, and maybe that's where they'll stay. Maybe they'll just be like, well, we'll be happy being a mega publisher or whatever, and we won't make our own platform. We won't try and compete there. But maybe one day they do just decide to compete, and build their own console or their own service or something. And that could present a problem for Microsoft, because especially if they go the Game Pass route, because I ain't going to subscribe to 2 services. Like I'm like that with Netflix and stuff. Like, I mean, yeah, I got Prime, but I got Prime mainly for deliveries. Like, I wouldn't subscribe to another Netflix, I don't think. Like, I've already got I've got a massive backlog of Netflix. I've got like a finite amount of time, and I don't have a finite amount of time for gaming either, which is why I wouldn't subscribe to another Game Pass. What if there was a Game Pass that had all my favorite games in it though? What if there's a Tencent Game Pass where, Monster Hunter is now exclusive to Tencent Pass or something? Then it becomes a problem. So if I'm Microsoft, get a move on, because there could be a dark future where there are games that are completely locked out from Microsoft's platform. And so yeah, I think they need to get a step on with acquisitions. I would like them to see, mate. I'd like to see them make more than 2 acquisitions next year.
I mean, that's just my minimum of
That's
2.
minimum. I think like 2 is like, they've got to plug gaps. They got to plug the gaps, right? They need more shooters.
Okay.
And it's funny. People are like, oh, but Xbox is a shooter platform. But I think they need more shooters for Game Pass. Games that launch into Game Pass, more shooters that have more perks for Game Pass. So free-to-play stuff that have Ultimate Edition, Game Pass Ultimate rewards like Halo Infinite. They need more of that. They got Sea of Thieves. You could sort of call Sea of Thieves a shooter, but it's sort of not. But you know what I mean. Those games you can sort of live in. They need to be quick with the Halo Infinite updates. There needs to be a constant stream of content for that, which may mean you need more support studios. We've seen Sony buy out support studios out from underneath Xbox as well. Like, where those support studios going to be when you need them to make your Halo Infinite battle pass for a month or something, stuff like that. What happens if they lose access to Bandai Namco games? You all of a sudden lose all your Souls likes, which is going to be a problem. Elden Ring is going to be the biggest launch of the quarter by a mile, easily. Imagine if that went exclusive or something.
So you think Elden Ring is going to be bigger than Horizon Forbidden West?
It's multi-platform, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
PC, and is Horizon Forbidden West coming to PS4?
Yes.
Okay, well, maybe not then. But Elden Ring is going to be formidable. At least it's going to be across every platform, and people will buy it because every streamer is going to be on Elden Ring, or a lot of them are, and they'll create FOMO. And also, it's a multiplayer game. It's like more multiplayer focused than the previous Dark Souls games have been. Presumably with an easier methodology of actually getting it to work. I was trying to summon someone in Dark Souls the other day and just couldn't get it to work. But Elden Ring's got an easier system, I think. But there are gaps they need to plug. Kids, younger audiences, we've barely seen any effort made there with Game Pass, and they've got Minecraft, and it's the biggest kids game in the world. Yeah, we all hear that. But kids are fickle, man, and they could bounce off Minecraft very, very quickly, potentially, if they don't stay on their toes. So I think they should make more acquisitions for the hardcore, for the genres they don't have, for PC gaming, strategy games, turn-based games for cloud. And they need mobile devs. They need support devs. They need devs who understand smaller screens. They need a bit of everything, really.
Damn. That's okay. So what about E3? I know everybody asked about this. You even were asking me about this. What do you think we see at E3? Is this the E3 that Microsoft like literally goes all in because a lot of their titles are scheduled for 2023, and it's just like, here's our first party. This is the reason why you need Game Pass, because we got all these games coming. Like, what if you had to peg it right now? What games will you think we're gonna see at E3?
I think there's going to be a big emphasis on Bethesda next year.
Okay.
Or ZeniMax Studios. We're going to see like a total Starfield blowout, and the whole summer is going to be Starfield marketing. It's going to be the year of Bethesda, basically. You got Redfall as well. That's a Bethesda or a ZeniMax game. We don't know what like studios like Roundhouse are working on. We don't know. We haven't seen Indiana Jones yet. We haven't seen, some of the other studios games. We haven't seen Elder Scrolls Online Studios game. So I think there's going to be a big emphasis on Bethesda.
Well, okay, let me ask this question.
Also Deathloop hitting Xbox too.
Do you think that Xbox and Bethesda have a combined showcase like they did this year, or do you think they separate them?
It's a good question. Maybe they do combined this year. I think they might do combined this year. Maybe.
And what makes you think they would do a combined this year? Because I mean, Bethesda's big enough to have their own.
Yeah, but maybe they give Xbox Studios more breathing space. Like, they don't make them have to make a slice of the game that's playable or whatever. Maybe it's time that we see Avowed debut, maybe, stuff like that. But I think maybe there's less from Xbox Game Studios this year, and that the more the emphasis goes on Bethesda's games. And also that way you get to really speak to that audience that, yeah, these Bethesda franchises are now part of Xbox. And then next year we see more from the Xbox games. Because I think games like State of Decay 3, Perfect Dark, and stuff like that, they're further out. Project Dragon hasn't even been revealed yet. And stuff like that.
Well, okay. So, a game that was recently revealed, gameplay for the first time, Hellblade 2. Do we see it again in another 6 months?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's kind of weird. We haven't seen like a more in-depth gameplay, but it's like you say, maybe it's similar gameplay to the last one, right? So maybe there isn't a need to have a more in-depth gameplay video, but I don't think we'll see Hellblade at E3. It's almost become a tradition for that to be at the Game Awards now. I think maybe we'll see Hellblade again at the Game Awards this next year, maybe another slice.
So like a year from now, at the end of 2022, when the game
maybe it launches.
Yeah, but like
a few months later.
If the game's scheduled to come out in 2023, are you like gonna show it at the end of 2022 for a launch sometime in 20? Because Xbox can't backload their schedule like they did this year, right? I mean, their whole goal is we want a game every quarter, and I guess it depends when Hellblade is supposed to hit or when Avowed's supposed to hit, right? Like, I think for sure you're seeing Avowed at E3 because there was talk that they were gonna show it this year at E3 and maybe at the Game Awards, and they shelved it in favor of Outer Worlds 2. So I think 100% you'll see Avowed next year. And I think you'll see Hellblade next year simply because I think Hellblade's coming in 2023. So
I think. Do you think Hellblade's? I don't think Hellblade's a holiday title. I could be wrong, but I can see it launching earlier in the year.
You can see what?
I could see Hellblade launching earlier in the year, not being a holiday title.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see that as well. And Contraband, I think you'll see gameplay at E3 because I think that's a 2023 title.
Yeah.
So that'll be there. This might be a little controversial. I don't think we see Fable next year.
Yeah, I think Fable's the year after, probably.
Well,
I think they really want Fable to be a big blockbuster kind of game.
And you know what I think Xbox uses at the Game Awards this year? At the end of this year? Perfect Dark gameplay reveal. They'll do the same thing where it's like, we revealed Hellblade at the Game Awards, and then 2 years later, they're like, they're back again with this time with the gameplay reveal, right? Last year they revealed, oh, here's Perfect Dark from the Initiative, and this year it'll be the gameplay reveal of Perfect Dark at the Game Awards. That's what I think they do, because I'm with you. Like, I don't know, I don't think Perfect Dark is 2023. Some people have told me that it might be, or it's closer to release than I think, but I don't think so. So I think that's just they're gonna save the gameplay reveal for E3. I'm trying to think what other games. I think Gears, the Coalition's new game gets revealed this year. Their other project. I think you'll see that. Obviously, there'll be a bunch of like other indie titles and stuff, or some deals that they have. Starfield's gonna dominate the conversation. Redfall will be there. I think you also get another Bethesda game announcement. I think this is where we probably see something more substantial of Indiana Jones. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I think.
Really... Sorry, go on.
Well, I was gonna say I think this year's E3 is gonna be Xbox's best, and I mean a lot of people would say this year's was their best. I think next year's is going to be even better.
Do you think they'll do combined or not?
I think they will this year, yes. And then I think maybe once people see, there's a part of me that thinks at some point they'll split them just to kind of like have more talk, like more conversation. Like Xbox is all talked about this time, and then we got a Bethesda a few days later or a week later, and all these games are on Xbox. But I also still think that Xbox, not a lot of people still think that Bethesda is Xbox, and I think they're gonna have to still do a combined showcase that can keep convincing people that these games are only gonna be on Xbox.
Yeah.
So I think they'll keep on doing combined showcases for the foreseeable future until it's kind of ingrained in people's minds. Although, you know what, when you think about it, like the Elder Scrolls 6, the first reveal of Elder Scrolls 6 would be such a huge thing that you would figure Xbox would want that at their show. Like, no, we want Elder Scrolls at our show. People need to see that. People need to associate Elder Scrolls and Xbox so they know. So maybe there is no, like, Bethesda showcase during the summer anymore, and it's just an hour and 45 minutes of just Xbox and Bethesda. I mean, I don't know what the future holds, but, I mean, if I was working in marketing, I'd want a combined show simply because I need to drive it into consumers' minds that these games are only on Xbox. And I think you lose that if you do a separate showcase.
Yeah, I think it's going to be combined showcase, and there's going to be a lot of this is exclusive on Xbox, blah blah blah. Because I think that's where they're losing it right now is with normal consumers who have they've been trained to think of PlayStation as the default now from years of being fail, and the only way they can change that is to keep trying to spread the message. You know, it'll take really time, but yeah.
Let me take a look at some here. We got Uramallis says, do the Game Pass rights renewals complicate using loaned IP? I don't think it does.
I mean, yeah, every deal's different. I'm sure it maybe complicates negotiations, but once the deals are done, you know, I mean, we see this with Forza games, like the licenses for the cars and the music expire, and then it causes some problems and stuff like that. It's just a reality of this stuff, but every deal is different, and I suppose every IP has a different ability to make demands, I guess.
Yeah. One Bad Mother says, happy holidays, friends. Thanks for the year of entertainment and grooming advice for my balls. And make sure Manscaped code XB2 at checkout, 20% off. Can't wait to show them off now. Well, hopefully whoever you show them off to enjoys those smooth balls. Let's see what else we got here. My chat kind of stopped. Lucas says, guys, do you think one of the code names is related to FASFA Shadowrun? Any guesses on what In Exile's doing? I mean, Jez, you had all the information about Project Cobalt, which is what In Exile's doing.
Yeah, In Exile's making a steampunk FPS RPG. With Victorian era steam technology, but sci-fi blimps with clockwork robots and stuff like that. That's what In Exile's working on. Could we see that next year? Possibly, but it might be a bit early yet.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff they could show. Georgie says, look into Playful Games, Jez, their next project. I don't know what that means.
Playful Games.
I think that was the isn't that the
Super
ukulele
Lucky's
people?
Tale.
No?
Super Lucky's Tale.
Super
Playful
Lucky's
Games.
Tale. Okay.
Yeah.
Rand said my name only on Xbox. I mean, Jeff Grubb kind of said that Shadowrun might be coming back, but he didn't. I think he was speculating. He doesn't know for sure. 38R says Wolfenstein 3 surprise announcement at E3 2022. I would love that, but it definitely seems like they're working on Indiana Jones for now. 9 Live says, what about Everwild? I mean, I don't know. Part of me thinks 2023 for Everwild. Because I think Everwild's 2024. Pong Soul says, Rand Jez, Gears Tactics was ported to Xbox in 7 months. Could we see Age of Empires 4 on console come out end of 2022? Starfield, Forza Motorsport, Age of Empires 4, fall, winter would be another killer holiday. What do you think, Jez? Is Pong Soul onto something? Oh, yes. I think Age of Empires 4 comes to console before holiday.
Yeah, I do too. I think you'll see Age of Empires on Xbox next year. Personally.
Yes, I think it comes to Xbox next year in the first half of next year. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe.
Because we got like Tunic in March, you got Crossfire X in February, Stalker in April. Maybe they release Age of Empires 4 in June-ish, maybe May. You don't necessarily always have to backload everything to the holiday. Like, that's the thing that sucks about like the first party next year is if you look at it, like if you think Redfall is September and Forza Motorsport's October and Starfield's November, it's like once again backloaded, and they'll use kind of like deals and indie games to kind of bridge to that point. But this should be the last year that actually happens, because 2023 is when the games are all going to arrive from all those acquisitions that everybody's been touting and talking about for 4 years. Like that start, like the Hellblade 2's coming, and Avowed's gonna hit, and some of their global publishing projects are gonna finally come out, Contraband and stuff like that. So like, you don't have to be like, well, we have to, end of the year we have to wait. Nope, it's gonna be like every couple months you're gonna be like, wow, it's a brand new game, and it's not just like a Tunic like experience or the Ascent or 12 minutes where I don't really think those hit very well. And I just also think one of the reasons why Game Pass kind of fluctuated throughout the year, Jez, right, was people subscribe for the big stuff, but I don't think stuff like 12 minutes or Ascent really move the needle in any significant way, or any like. I don't think people think so. I don't even really think people keep subscribed for those. Like, they need the Halo Infinites and the Forza Horizons and the Psychonauts of the worlds to come out like all the time.
Multiplayer games.
Well, yeah,
it's the multiplayer games.
They really, Xbox really missed out on
multiplayer games.
Xbox really missed out on having Fall Guys.
Yeah, they did. I do think as well, Game Pass value increases if they start increasing the price of retail games. Yeah, they're probably going to increase the price of Xbox Game Pass at some point, but it's still gonna like it's still gonna man, I lost my train of thought. That doesn't usually happen. Maybe I'm jet lagged. Maybe I'm jet lagged, Rand.
Maybe.
But yeah.
Lord Stalkiller says acquisition number 1 for me is WB Games. Acquisition number 2 is Crystal Dynamics. Installation 7 says the JRPG market is big and Sony is signing time exclusive after time exclusive, locking Xbox out. For Game Pass, Phil needs access to more Japanese IP. I mean, 100%. I mean, it sucks when you watch the Game Awards and you see Persona 4 Ultimate Arena or whatever, a game that was on the 360 for Christ's sake, and it's coming to every platform except Xbox. It's like, what is up with that? And people are going to, like, when Persona 6 gets announced and it's probably a PlayStation exclusive, people are going to be like, what's going on? Like, why can't these games come to Xbox? And, I mean, some people out there are saying, like, a lot of what Xbox does with the Japanese size thing is kind of just lip service. Like, it really doesn't mean much. Even though they say, hey, we're working with 200 developers, Japanese developers, like, there's still some people out there that say they're not doing enough. Personally, like, I don't really care about the Japanese games too much, and it's kind of one of those things when you play on Xbox, you know that you're not going to get a lot of Japanese content. It's kind of one of the things you accept, just like Nintendo fans accept they're not going to get a lot of third-party support from the bigger companies. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. But I mean, the way Phil and everybody talks about Japanese content, like, they got to go after it a little bit more.
Yep.
Roberto says, Jez, do you know something about releasing GoldenEye XBLA? Cheers, guys.
Yeah, I don't. I think there's going to be loads of rights issues with that, probably. GoldenEye, because that's a James Bond IP, right?
Yes.
So I haven't heard anything to that end. And also, isn't there a Nintendo factor there as well somehow?
Potentially,
maybe?
yes.
Does Nintendo own the original source code or something like that? I don't know. I think Microsoft's probably done with backwards compatible games for now, but maybe somehow the game gets re-released at some point. I don't know. I wouldn't stake a huge amount of hope on that one. But who knows? Maybe there'll be a Christmas miracle.
Shout out to Punkadish, who's been a member for 10 months, says, happy holidays to you, both Rand and Jez. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Punk, for being a member for 10 months. We really appreciate you. See, what else we got here, Jez? I don't know. I'm looking at the last kind of bullet point I have on a little sheet here. Oh, yeah, there's one thing about NPD I wanted to talk about, Forza. You know how people say Game Pass kills sales of games? But then, I don't know if you saw, but NPD said that Forza set a all-time monthly record for the entire franchise with Forza Horizon 5. That Forza Horizon 5 sold more and made more money than any Forza product ever in its first month, and that's Forza Horizon and the Forza Motorsport series.
That's wild.
Even though it's on Game Pass, and that's kind of the thing Phil talks about. Like, I think some people twist his words because some games do well and then some games don't. They say, well, Phil said every game sells better because of Game Pass, and I don't think those words were ever really said. It was that, like, what we see is that sometimes, you know, games actually sell more that are on Game Pass. And, I mean, we've seen 2 instances of Forza. The previous record holder was 4, and that was Game Pass. And now we have 5, and that's Game Pass. And now it broke even more records. So, look, man, I mean, some people like their games. And Forza was everywhere for that week. I mean, it hit 12 million in its first week. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like, that's another, like Nine Life said, it's another narrative destroyed. You know, and it's funny, Jez, because we've talked many times on here about those UK charts, right? Those digital UK charts that are always shared because the UK physical charts, I mean, because physical Xbox doesn't really sell a lot of physical games anymore. It's mostly digital. And I remember people sharing that chart when the Forza one came out because it was like 80% down from Forza Horizon 4. And people were like, see, Xbox fans don't buy their games. And they use physical charts from the UK as proof that Xbox fans don't buy games. Which is absurd because I don't know how many times we've talked about on the show that like physical in the UK is pretty much a dying market, right?
Yeah. It is.
And once again, proven by MPD that, yeah, not only did Forza actually sold better than ever, set records. It's like, that's why I don't understand why people continually pay attention to physical only charts. Physical means nothing in the year of 2022. Like,
no.
You go back 10 years ago, sure, physical meant a lot. Physical means basically nothing at all anymore. But hey, that's what they use because physical is like, oh, Xbox don't buy games. Yeah, Xbox fans don't buy physical games. It's pretty much true. They mostly buy digital. So, I don't know. I just wanted to point that out. Forza Horizon is a great game and it deserves all the success it's actually has seen over the years.
That's what Phil always says. There's no one endpoint. They want to have multiple supporting endpoints to Xbox, whether it's cloud, whether it's subscriptions, whether it's this, whether it's that. It's like multiple ways to engage the system. Like they're never going to get rid of console. They're never going to get rid of any one particular service. They're going to keep everything they've got because they want to get everyone, no matter where they are, no matter how they play, no matter how many games they want to play. Like a lot of people, maybe they just, they buy Forza and that's the only game they'll play for the rest of the year. I mean, there's probably enough content there if you don't have as much time to play, right? So why would you move to a cloud only model if some people only wanted to buy one game that year, That's why it's good to have a diversified way to enter the ecosystem, and that's like, it's just the way it is. And I think a lot of companies that only have one way to enter their ecosystem right now, like, Spotify and Netflix and stuff, basically their entire business model is built up on one subscription service. And that's not, the most potentially stable and safe way to be. You want to have a diverse array of products, ultimately. And that's what Xbox is all about. It's about having a big, diverse array of products. And that's what Game Pass is. It's just one part of the puzzle, one part of the pie. And it shows that maybe there is a finite amount of people out there who would subscribe to Game Pass. I'm sure the case right now is probably just a case of most people have probably never even heard of it. Most normal, everyday people don't even know what Game Pass is. But I also think there might just be a load of people out there who just think, I don't have time to play that many games. I don't have time to play 100 games or whatever. Maybe they'll subscribe if they think like, yeah, I want to get the battle pass for Halo Infinite and get the extra stuff and stuff like that. They're still experimenting with different ways, and I'm sure they'll come up with different reasons to get Game Pass as well. But just have to wait and see. And I think that's why Netflix is exploring gaming, because they're probably thinking like, well, maybe there's just, maybe we've hit a point. I mean, everyone knows what Netflix is at this point, but I think a lot of people probably don't even know like, if they even want Netflix or not. Do they even need a show with a million service with a million shows on? I don't know. They need to make more reasons to get Game Pass too, and it's all about diversity and stuff like that. And Phil speaks about that all the time.
Shella Slays says, after now having Halo Infinite's campaign turn out to be a giant meh, how much longer do we have to keep up the facade of, quote, one day, man, those 10 out of 10 experiences are coming, swear? I mean,
Meh.
I mean, if you think the campaign's meh, I mean, that's your opinion, but like collectively, Halo Infinite's campaign was reviewed incredibly well. And if you want to say collectively it's a meh, well then I guess Spider-Man's a meh because Spider-Man and Halo basically have the same score. That's why like the whole Metacritic thing is like I don't understand this argument because it's like Halo Infinite is an 87, which is an incredible score. So I understand like your personal opinion. If you think it's meh, then that's your personal opinion. But like, your personal opinion doesn't like that doesn't like I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is, but like your personal opinion is not shared by everybody, and clearly your personal opinion's actually in the minority on this one. So, and if we're using meh, then like I don't know, like I said, like Spider-Man must be a meh. Ghost of Tsushima must be a meh because that's even lower rated. So I mean I don't know, like if you didn't like Halo, you didn't like Halo, and I'm not going to argue with you on that. But like, I think a lot of people got that 10 out of 10 experience that they wanted from Halo Infinite. Plenty of people loved that game. Like I said, it was Game Informer's Game of the Year. I don't know how a meh game got Game of the Year from Game Informer if it was that bad. Maybe I'm wrong on this one. I don't know.
It's ultimately play on the platform which has the games you think you'll like. For me, Halo Infinite was not a 10 out of 10 game for me.
Sure.
I think I said that last week.
You said it was like an 8 if you'd have.
I said I would have given Halo Infinite an 8 maybe because I had a lot of issues with the story delivery. I thought the story delivery was not great, and some of it was frankly badly written. I thought, and I was sitting there thinking, man, they should have done this instead, and it would have been way better. And you don't want to be sitting there thinking that while you're playing the game. And I wasn't even reviewing it. I didn't think it was that great, but there's a lot of other games that I play on the Xbox, so I don't know. That's the thing. It's all about diversity and having the games that Microsoft needs to appeal to as many people as possible. That's the thing. It's like, I'm a big Gears fan. I really like Gears of War, so that's one of the reasons why I'm on Xbox. But Rand, I think would say that Gears isn't a game that he necessarily buys Xbox for, right?
I mean, I like Gears enough.
You like Gears.
And I gave Halo Infinite an 8.5. I had problems with it. But I don't know. I feel like all of a sudden there's this like people are kind of changing the narrative around on certain things.
Yeah, I guess.
And I mean, yeah, obviously not everybody's gonna like something, but I mean, I don't know. Whatever. Let's see what else we got here. Installation says, do you think the Kojima Xbox deal happened? Not yet. This is what Grub was saying. Lord Meerhoof says, happy holidays, sir. Is there any plan for Xbox to expand their official support? Thanks. I guess it depends. Like, there's official support for, I guess, like, what's thing in particular? Are we talking, like, rewards? Or something else, because a lot of that has to do with legal things. I mean, I think Xbox is always trying to expand everywhere, but I think legally they have certain hurdles they have to overcome before they do. So I'm not sure. You'd have to give us a more specific example than that. Let's see here. So, yeah, you know what? I think if you guys have any questions, make sure you put them in chat, and we'll do our best to answer them. So thank you guys for being here. So, yeah.
Question time. Oh, man. I'm pretty tired, actually. I think.
Are you?
I am. Yesterday was grueling, man. Like, flight was delayed. I was stuck in the airport for 6 hours, and man, and I slept tons, but I'm still tired. So maybe I'm just jet lagged or something. I don't know. Omi says, any truth to the Series X Elite console rumor? No, not
No.
true.
It's just a fan made thing. Face says Final Fantasy Remake coming to Xbox when Part 2 releases.
Probably not.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just keep that off Xbox forever. I mean, who knows at this point? I mean, 2 years is a long time to wait. I mean,
Honestly, yeah, if you want Final Fantasy VII Remake, you're probably gonna need to get a PlayStation at this point. I think Square Enix is asking for investment from Microsoft. Microsoft's probably saying it's not worth what you're asking for, and they're probably right. But, if you want to break the narrative that, Xbox has no Japanese games or support from Japanese devs, which gives us a sort of uneasy feeling of like, well, what other games are we going to miss out on because of this? Microsoft needs to put the money up, but that's Microsoft's choice. Is ultimately they've decided it's not worth it. So, yeah.
let's see what else we got here. Widia says, do you see Minecraft racked up 1 trillion views on YouTube? I see one of Xbox's strengths as large communities as it has with Minecraft, Sea of Thieves, Flight Simulator, Age of Empires, etc. I did see that. 1 trillion views is a lot.
Yes, it is.
And
it's a lot.
I wonder what would have happened if Microsoft decided that they needed to help the Xbox One out and only release like Minecraft on the Xbox, like pull it from PlayStation, not put it out on the Switch, all these other things, or maybe make a Minecraft 2, right? Because I think we talked about it before, like you have these games that go on forever now, and then you have like Activision, who for whatever reason decided to ditch Overwatch 1 and make an Overwatch 2, when it seems like the whole game now is like you have a game and you support it forever, like Rainbow Six Siege and Apex Legends and Fortnite, Grand Theft Auto 5, Halo Infinite, and all this stuff. Minecraft is essentially like maybe even the leader in that, because when did Minecraft first come out? 2000.
It was a long
2008.
time ago now.
2008. It was during the 360 era, right? So
Yeah, something like that.
And they've just continually updated it, and it makes me like wonder, like, what if Microsoft made a different decision and decided to do a Minecraft 2 instead of just keeping it like that? Like, would another game have stepped in and fill the void and become what Minecraft is now? Like, clearly they made the right decision, with Minecraft, right? So
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting to think about, like, if they had pulled it, how big would it be now? Would it be the trillion, million, billion views on YouTube that it is without multi-platform stuff? Would Minecraft exclusivity have helped them get forgiveness for the mess that 2013 was in? It's hard to say, but clearly, Minecraft's maintained its popularity because it's multi-platform, not in spite of it. So,
Randy Norman says, is Certain Affinity working on Perfect Dark's multiplayer, Jez?
I don't know about that. I think someone DM'd me about that recently, and I just can't remember the details. I don't know off the top of my head. I could look into it though. But that's interesting. I didn't even consider the possibility originally of Perfect Dark having multiplayer. But
I mean, I think it might.
Will it be like, I don't know, man.
At the end of the day, Perfect Dark
kind of makes me nervous, man.
Perfect Dark is a first-person shooter, or it's in first-person perspective. So, let's see. Eddie the Psycho wants to know: do you think they'll do story DLC for Halo Infinite? I would love something like Halo Reach where you're playing a squad of Spartans again. 100% they'll do story DLC for Halo Infinite. I think it's already trademarked.
Yeah, the first DLC is called The Endless, is it not?
Yes. Well, the trademark's called Halo The Endless. So,
yeah.
And if you played the game and finished it, I mean, you kind of know what to expect and what that title means. Arafat says, Jez, if Killer Instinct reboot is real, they better add Rockstar Craig as DLC character. That'd be funny.
That would be funny. I think we'll see. If they do another Killer Instinct, that'll be a brute for sure.
Army says, will you buy the new colors for your PS5? Sony fans like making fun of Xbox controllers, yet here we are. I don't think so. My system just sits underneath my entertainment center. I don't really care what color it looks like. Although the black one does look really cool, and if I were to buy one, that's the one I would buy, but I don't think I'm going to spend money on it. And Jez doesn't have a PS5 yet.
Not yet. I do want to get one eventually. Though.
Sophie says, any news, Jez, about Final Fantasy 14 for Xbox?
There's no news. We haven't heard anything or seen anything, and I would guess that if Microsoft wants that to happen, they're gonna have to like help out somehow, because Square Enix is struggling with servers capacity right now, and that is one of the things that Microsoft can help them with is server capacity. So, at least as of right now, I haven't heard anything, but who knows when or if that'll change.
Whittier wants to know what's your favorite Windows Central article you wrote this year.
Oh, actually, that's an interesting question that I never thought of. I have no idea. Off the top of my head, I can't even think what I've written this year. I'll have to get back to you on that one. Wow. It's an interesting question.
Proxless wants to know if Indiana Jones will be an exclusive, and if our answer has changed over the last year.
I'd heard near the purchase when the purchase had gone through, I'd heard that Indiana Jones was not going to be exclusive. But who knows? Maybe something's changed since then. I personally believe that Indiana Jones is not exclusive per the contract with Disney that was signed, because obviously Disney own Indiana Jones. They want to probably tie marketing for the game into the movie they're making, because they are making an Indiana Jones movie, a new one, God knows why, given Indiana Jones 4 was absolutely trash and shouldn't exist. But who knows? Maybe Microsoft can drop some money on it and be like, yeah, we need this exclusive. Microsoft probably can't afford to do that. But maybe just Disney don't really care about money and they just want the eyeballs. And if you want eyeballs, you don't want it to be exclusive, I think. So, and I don't think Microsoft has the, I don't know. I think in the 360 era, Microsoft would have had more clout to say, yeah, well, we can grab this as exclusive. Because with some of these deals, it's not about money. It's about eyeballs. Xbox just doesn't have the eyeballs right now. And I think that's one of the reasons why they struggle with getting Japanese games. Because they just don't have the eyeballs they used to have. And it's like a chicken and egg scenario where they can they've got to spend money to get the eyeballs, but they need the eyeballs to get the clout to make the deals, to get the exclusive content. So it kind of reminds me of Windows Phone in a way. But that's the problem that they've got to overcome. And they're only going to do it with money, I think.
Mr. Kima wants to know why you blocked him on Twitter.
I don't know, mate. It probably might have been an accident. If you drop me a DM... Oh, wait, you can't. If someone DMs me... If you've got an alt account or something and DM me, I'll unblock you.
Jez, you block a lot of people, bro.
Yeah, I'm tired, Rand.
I know. Marco says, hey, Rand Jez, happy holidays, fellas. Thanks for everything you do for the community. Love your live streams. What is your favorite tech of 2021? My favorite tech? Oh. That's more of a question for you, because I don't really have any new tech for 2021 that I've used. Do you have any? What's your favorite tech for 2021? I mean, I probably use my Series X the most.
I really like my Galaxy Fold. It gives me a tablet experience. It gives me a tablet experience and a phone experience in one package. So, I like my Galaxy Fold, but it's not perfect. The screen feels like it's gonna explode any minute. It feels very fragile. Kind of reminds me how smartphones felt when they first came out, you know? And you want to really look after it and be careful with it. Like my most recent Galaxy Fold, Galaxy Notes, I felt like I could throw them across the room and they'd be fine. But this thing feels so damn fragile, and it kind of concerns me. But I don't know.
So B16 says, "What do you think of the current state of Battlefield 2 with the hackers giving everyone permanent invincibility and ruining the game?" I didn't even know that was a thing.
Battlefield 2042.
Battlefield 2
Battlefield 2
or Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2.
Oh, Battlefront 2. Now, this is one of the issues with EA is that they just abandoned some of their games. They've abandoned Titanfall, which is now at the mercy of hackers, and now they've abandoned Battlefront as well, which sucks because Battlefront's a really good game after all the work they put into it. They just stopped marketing it for some reason. I don't know, but yeah, it's EA. What, they're not going to do anything about it because they're EA. At the end of the day, sucks, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah. Ulfric wants to know if we think the Crackdown IP will ever return. It could fill in the gap for a superhero game. If not, Bethesda could create a superhero RPG. I think Crackdown's dead forever. And I think Jez agrees with me.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see Crackdown again.
Game Pass Perry wants to know, what do we think about Mass Effect being on Unreal Engine 5 instead of Frostbite or Unreal Engine 4? Good. I think that's good. But it still probably means the game's years away, though. Unfortunate. So, and they have a lot to They have a lot to make up for after people did not like Andromeda, right? So,
that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's it. Oh, Matthew says, "Thank you guys for what you do. We appreciate you, Matthew. Thank you for the super chat." And Lord Meyerhoof says, "Yeah, not detailed much. I mean, for basic support like regional pricing and warranty support for console." Yeah. I mean, I think they're always trying to get better at that stuff, but I don't really have the answers to that. Someone wants to know who my game of the year is. I think my top 5 would be Halo Infinite, Hitman 3, Returnal. What would be number 4? Would be maybe Psychonauts 2. Oh, It Takes Two, and then Psychonauts 2 with like Forza Horizon 5 right out there, and like Resident Evil 8. I think would be my list.
My game of the year is Dark Souls.
Yeah, of course it is.
I'm late, but I got there in the end.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that's where we're going to end the show. It's getting a little late, about 3 hours, so we appreciate everyone being here. Look out for the show on your podcast apps soon, probably tomorrow. And no other show the rest of the week. We're going to be enjoying the holidays with their family, so we all hope, me and Jez both hope that you guys enjoy your Christmas if you celebrate. And we're going to try to put together a show next week, maybe around Thursday, the 30th.
Yeah.
And, just have some people on to talk about Xbox and stuff. And then we'll be into the new year, 2022. So thank you guys for making the Xbox 2, the podcast that it is. You make it, we do the show for you guys. Because, I didn't really want to do the show today, to be honest with you, because the way my back was feeling and how I'm not feeling good. But I don't like disappointing people, so
I almost said to you, like, maybe we should just skip this week because I feel half dead after traveling yesterday, and and today I've been like unpacking and doing loads of stuff, so I was pretty tired today, but didn't want to miss a week. And you guys are awesome, as Rand said. I agree wholeheartedly. You guys have made this year amazing, and feel constantly blessed because of all the the love. And my own streaming channel too. Like I saw a lot of you guys. Like I started a YouTube channel recently, just streaming Dark Souls here and there for fun. I couldn't believe like how many of you guys showed up to support me there as well, and I was really, really humbled by that. So happy holidays to all of you guys, and yeah, and you as well, Rand.
Yeah, happy holidays, Jez. And we'll be back hopefully next Thursday with another show right before the new year. So, anyways, keep it gaming, guys, and have a great rest of the week and Christmas.